With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time spent building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of kids lose access to the food they count on during the school year. As a neighbor-led network, Feeding America is deeply rooted in every community, ensuring summer meals continue nourishing growth and potential. Your support puts healthy food within reach, fueling the future for kids and their families. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here.
Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam.
You ready? Who's ready for some of that good love? Count me out!
And you've got it tuned in to Mornings with Patti.
Come on! Good love, that's what I'm drinking. Let's sip it down, go without thinking. Good love, that's what I'm making. We'll break this house when it stops shaking. Come on,
Come on, the man said. He said, come on. We better come on. It is 6:15 up and Adam, everybody at,
Yay!
He
Good
stopped-
morning, guys.
He stopped early.
Yeah.
I thought it was, okay.
Come
he
on,
was-
guys. Let's go. Let's move. Good morning, everyone.
It's
good
only
morning,
Tuesday.
Patty.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Top of
It's
day,
only-
everyone.
How you doing over there?
We're
Okay.
great.
Okay. Yeah.
It's Tuesday.
Is it only?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. It's a beautiful
you're so-
Tuesday. It's
you're
dry
so happy.
outside.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of the traffic lights are working. You know, everyone
Actually,
just,
a lot better
Uh-oh.
than it was in the commute
Yeah,
yesterday.
right,
Yeah,
right.
because
We got
every
a few
light
lights on.
on the way in was out. But
That's what we
now
got.
that the big one is the one at the overpass underpass, because that one's
Okay, that
that's
one-
a kamikaze right there.
got you,
You take
okay.
your life into your own hands when you're trying to get through
Well,
all of that, and then
I think
people
a
are
lot of our
still
lives
have
been
the
in our hands.
what's that now?
This whole weekend, our lives have been in our hands.
That's so
Be
true.
careful, everyone.
It was so funny because everybody is, you know, the treating it like a four-way stop is like the rule of thumb when approaching a major intersection. You treat it like a four-way stop as if you're in the neighborhood. And it's controlled movement, so everybody can everybody looks at the car to their immediate right. I've always had a problem with that.
Okay.
So do you know how to stop at a four-way?
I do.
Okay, so what is it? You stop.
Yes.
You
and
stop
the guy's
and
on the right. You know what I mean? You look.
if you're both coming at the same time, the guy on the right has the right of way.
That's right. That's
but if
the
you're
rule.
already there and you're first, right? So you just sort of gauge who's next. And some people don't know that simple task. A lot of people didn't, or over the years you just don't remember what the driving booklet said. Did you study from a driving booklet?
Yeah.
Was it a booklet or was it online?
No. We had the book.
You had the book, right? Okay, so you're still old school like that. You had a book that was passed around as it was DPS at the Department of Public Safety.
My book was easy. It was like kind of slightly marked, so I had all the pencil scratching.
Oh,
so I was
smart.
like, you know what, just copy this guy. There we
Yeah.
go. Just fill in that one. Okay, the next answer. I'm just copying whoever was in here before me.
See, now it was like a test. So there's a lot of things that I remember about approaching an intersection. And that a bunch of things that are so they're things that you don't ever really think about, and I feel like I'm the only one on the road who follows them. Oh, you know what I mean? Because I think there's so many details and there's so many rules about this that you don't always. And the four-way stop is one. We don't know what to do still. We also don't know how to pull over when there's an emergency vehicle behind us. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, that's Keystone Cops right there. You
Or
got
if it's in front of you.
Yeah. Well, I ride on their tail if it's in front of me.
Be like in front of me. Be like, just follow the cop.
That's
He's
what
going
I'm doing.
65.
I'm like,
going
I'm
65.
family.
I'm family.
I'm following
Like, where are we
behind-
going? Ambulance. It's an ambulance. Follow the ambulance. Go.
I follow big
Okay,
rig trucks.
Right. Or
They're trying to
or
get
that.
through the intersection. I follow
that.
them. I'm just like hugging their bumper because I'm gonna skirt right in.
Oh, the big rigs, I got to give them some distance. I don't trust those ones, man. They
No,
be
if
got-
I'm following them.
I wouldn't follow
I'm like,
them.
oh
Patty,
yeah,
they be
getting
dropping
through a
stuff.
major intersection.
Patty, we've seen
They're
all
like my
kind of-
blockade.
Right? They
Yeah.
got all kind of stuff falling out their ride. It's
Yeah.
someone forgot to close the hatch on this big boy.
Oh,
It's like, excuse
yeah,
me, sir,
I
your
see.
stuff's falling.
I see how you could be afraid of that, but that's like I'm taking my life into my own hands when I start doing that
right.
kind of
It's like,
stuff.
okay, here we go.
But I'm
It's
not
Mario
sitting
Kart.
I'm not sitting at a four-way stop because
Got
nobody
you.
stops at a four-way. I mean, at a major. Can you imagine ITC? You got people turning left, you got people turning right, and then you're all sitting there trying to figure out who came first.
I try to avoid that as much as I can, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want to go this route. I don't want to go this
Smart.
way. I don't want to go this way. It's like, let's go that way.
Yeah, I thought about that yesterday when I knew the
that
light
way.
was out down here on the overpass. When I thought, oh my God, the safest way to do this, because it was raining really hard. I said the safest way to do this might just be to turn right.
Okay.
And then kind of find a place to make a U-turn or go straight down Route 16. I thought, why am I doing that? I'll just ride piggyback on whoever's the front person on the light. Everybody will the lane will just go. Everybody will follow suit. But people inch forward. There's no rules. There are no rules. But luckily, as the power is coming back on and they're energizing these intersections, we have. We don't remember what happened last week, Tuesday. There's still, there are still some people without the electricity for sure, but the majority of the island is back on and we're back into our normal duties. So maybe people just don't remember what happened last week, Tuesday, or it's a painful memory that is soon to be forgotten. And so welcome back to your normal life, if it is indeed normal. It's 20 minutes after 6 o'clock, and we're watching a couple of things. The budget. The budget is really the budget performances that are taking place at the legislature in the last week, including during the weekend, is really the same sort of performance that you see from legislatures. From decades past. It's sort of the same thing and the same agencies that are haggling over the same money. Different players, different year, but this is a legislature. At least the finance people are trying to get through all of this by the 17th. And I don't know if there's a strategy to slow the process down, but we did get to see yesterday that there was an attempt, at least by Senator Chris Barnett, to haul in some folks from the Department Department of Education to come in and explain themselves away. And Chris Duenas, who's heading up the budget conversation, said, "No, we've already had our public hearings. We don't need to haul anybody down here because what they want to get through is all of it. Just get through it and send it off by the 17th of July. And again, that's to free up their time so they can get back on the campaign trail." And it was the governor who said yesterday, and I don't know whether or not they got the message, but yesterday she said, "I am going to veto any bill that doesn't provide for matching funds for Medicaid, which doesn't provide money for the DOC modernization plan, and doesn't provide funding for Simon Sanchez." Those are her top three. If any of those are sacrificed in this budget, it's going to be vetoed. So the legislature is going to have to work together on this measure to make sure that if it is vetoed, that they get the final say. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or how that's going to happen. Well, I know how it will happen, but everybody's front and center and trying to push the agendas of their oversights, because it does fall down. The point was made by Lester Carlson yesterday. There's no question that and he's saying what he's saying. I don't want to use the word, it wasn't implode, but you can see now not all Republicans who are in charge, because they're the majority, right, who are in charge of these committees, are all falling in line necessarily, because these guys that are oversight chairs have to defend the budgets of these agencies that they are babysitting. And if any of these agencies don't get a reasonable amount of their budget, or their operation is in danger, that's going to fall on the oversight chair. That's going to be the person that's going to have to take the hit. And so they're trying to preserve as much as they possibly can status quo, and with these agencies, fighting for these agencies to make sure that they're getting, at least they're appeasing them, and they're going to defend them and their budgets, because they're eventually going to have to answer to them. If they're not going to answer to them in the time that they have left in this particular legislature, they're going to answer to them at the polls. And everybody has that on their mind. So there's a when they talk about, when the headline reads, where was this? I don't know if it was this. It was the PDN. No, it was the Guam Daily Post this morning. I lied. It was yesterday. It was yesterday where they, the tempers flared, or it was passionate, and that was the case. That these guys tend to get, incredibly emotional and angry and maybe frustrated over their colleagues, and so that's, again, those sessions are the sessions that you should be watching to see how your guy's performing, and your gal, obviously, how they're performing. In the meantime, we're all just kind of reacting. I was just having a conversation on the way home on the way here with my daughter, where they're talking about the Strait of Hormuz being escalated to a point where Iran is now, threatening anybody that if they're not following the rules from the Strait of Hormuz, and an all-out escalation of a war again, and which everybody is trying to avoid. And I thought, my God, we watch these markets jump up and down with every slight conversation about opening up the Strait of Hormuz, because that has a direct effect on everything we do in our lives that requires fuel, and pretty much everything we do in our lives requires fuel. And when you see how the markets are reacting to the increase in threats that are coming through the Strait of Hormuz, all I see is gas prices rising. All I see is GPA trying to, maintain, while they're under a lot of pressure, this fuel surcharge that they just made effective in July, where your power bill is going to jump on the average about $50 a month. Mine, however, jumped about $200 some a month. Well, that's consumption. I don't even want to know what it's going to look like for July when it took effect July 1st, when the new fuel surcharge was increased. So we're going to be seeing, a hot summer for sure. And a lot more people in the house, definitely, because these kids are not back in school. So they're just sitting around consuming power if they're not out working. And so everything that we're doing in our lives is affecting what we buy. And it's kind of nerve-wracking to think. And so Senator Tony, we were talking about this yesterday, the gubernatorial candidate with E.J. Calvo is suggesting that the government of Guam, with the Guam Power Authority, hold back on that fuel surcharge increase and give people a chance to, kind of loosen their belt a little bit under so much pressure. And I just don't see that happening. It's already in place, and it's going to be in place for the next 3 months with this new fuel surcharge. I don't see, and it's not very likely that it does happen. It's only, in my experience, maybe once or twice I've actually seen them in an emergency pull back the decision to raise the fuel surcharge under the LEAC. It doesn't happen. Having an emergency to increase the fuel surcharge happens all the time. But an emergency to roll it back, that does. I really think I can remember one time that it happened, but it doesn't happen often. And so if that's not going to be the relief, then he wants to give everybody a little bit of money. This is a failed attempt by Will Parkinson about 3 times now. The first time he was successful in passing it, and that was a couple years ago. Where they were able to not stave off because the fuel surcharge was already in place. It was giving people about $100 a month for about 3 months. And I think they did 2 or 3 rounds of that. And then, when it was brought up one more time in this past year, it didn't fly. And I think Will Parkinson was attempting to do that again this year, and it didn't fly. Now, Tony Atta is saying that everybody needs to get a break and trying to convince them to roll back the LEAC or the fuel surcharge. If not, we've got to be able to give them some relief. And the governor says, where are you going to get the money to roll back? That cost upwards of $36 million. The first time it came out of the general fund. The next time it wasn't so easy. The first time it came out of federal funds. The second time and the third time came out of the general fund. And we're all staring down right now of agencies getting shortchanged at the moment. And she's saying, I don't know where it's a great idea, but no one knows where that money's actually going to come from. Well, bottom of the hour, you got something to say?
I got it. Senor Dueñas in Alahan, thoughts of power.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thoughts of conduit.
Yeah.
He's still waiting.
Sorry about that,
he
sir.
He said they came, they left, they came, they left, and we're waiting for them. It's been 3 days. He's counting down, and
they came like 3 days ago, and they still haven't done the work.
Yeah, the neighbors have it. He doesn't have, and
he's in a pocket where.
Yeah, he said he cleared the area and he cleared his lines. Yeah. Everything is clear, so
he's just waiting for.
He's on the waiting list, so hopefully we can get some guys down there towards Mr. Dueñas.
That's where the phases kick in, right? They did the phase 1 and then I think the phase 2 is doubling back to find those areas that have problems that they have to. It takes
3.
a little minute. Are we in phase 3 now?
Phase 3.
Okay, that's great.
Phase 3 is critical.
So it's that's all those are all the folks now.
Extensive damage.
That really had a disconnection. So
that's where they're at.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's a matter of time, sir. It's just a matter of time. It looks like. I was looking at somebody yesterday on TikTok. I don't know where she came from, but she's not from Guam. And she did a bit on TikTok where she was pretending that she's being interviewed by Netflix.
I didn't see that.
Okay, so she gets on and she says, I don't know if it was my insistent phone calls or barrage of phone calls to the Guam Power Authority or my influence over Governor Lulian, over the governor of Guam, but my power is back on now.
I didn't.
I
missed that.
Yeah,
okay.
well, I mean, it's a TikTok thing, and there's so many of them, and there are a lot of people on Guam, and there's not from here that are on TikTok doing. You just gotta get in the rhythm somewhere. But I stumbled upon her yesterday too because I didn't know where. I didn't recognize the background, but she had this bit about how. She probably annoyed the Guam Power Authority so much, we're reporting that she was out of electricity, and then she talked to she goes, I don't know me if me talking to the governor had any influence on it. And a lot of people were like, connections are everything, and people were talking all about, all about jumping to the front of the line. And somebody said that to me the other day. They said, it's all connections. It's all who you know on getting your power restored. And I gotta say, I have seen that happen with certain things, certain services where you jump to the head of the line. But when the power situation, it's an obvious thing. If you've got influence over somebody who's got influence to turn you on, it's an awkward thing that if you're just turning on one house and all the rest of your neighbors don't have electricity. And so people don't think necessarily that they might have a unique problem at their own home that will make it so that your power doesn't get on. They have to double back to you because there's an issue. And the rest of the neighborhood may be on, but people take it personally because power is personal. It's personal. You are physically in discomfort. You couldn't get any more personal than that. That you're physically discomfort and it is inconvenient and you cannot move ahead with your life. There's nothing more personal than having your power being taken away, having your utilities being taken away. So a lot of people take that seriously, and that's why they get really emotional about they don't like me and therefore I'm not going to vote for so-and-so. It gets to that because people get angry. But, we natural reactions to all of it. But I thought it was kind of funny because she clearly wasn't not from Guam, and I think she made it sort of hinted at the point at that point. I didn't recognize the neighborhood where she lived. I don't know if it was an on-base neighborhood or where it was somewhere in a village that I'm not familiar with, but it was actually pretty funny because a lot of people thought that might have been the reason why she got her power on. And if that is the reason why you got her power, tell me who you're talking to, because, man, I know there are a lot of people could use a connect right now. Bottom of the hour. Let's go ahead and take a quick break here and be back. We're Mornings with Patti.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Maine Senator Angus King says a federal immigration agent shot and killed a driver in Biddeford, Maine, outside of Portland. It would be the second time in a week ICE officers used deadly force. State prosecutors in Minnesota say they now have long withheld evidence in the investigation into the shooting deaths of Alex Preddy and Renee Good by government officers in Minneapolis. A federal judge ruled President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS over his leaked tax returns was an exercise in self-dealing in which he sued an entity that is effectively under his control. The judge referred one of the president's attorneys for disciplinary actions. President Trump is naming the person he thinks should serve out Lindsey Graham's Senate term. Here's the AP's Sagar Magani.
The president says it should be Graham's sister and is recommending South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster appoint Darlene Graham Nordone to finish her brother's term. Lindsey Graham raised and later adopted his little sister after their parents died at a young age, and they remained very close. McMaster is expected to announce his pick later today. A special election next month will choose a new GOP nominee for a seat Graham was seeking to win for a fifth time. Sagar Magani, Washington.
President Trump says the U.S. is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and will charge other ships for safe passage. In Iran, military spokesman Ibrahim Zulfiqari Khattam says the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran will respond forcefully to any disruption or insecurity caused by the aggressor and piratical U.S. military to the passage of commercial vessels and oil tankers outside the route designated by Iran and without authorization from the armed forces. The conflict has intensified, raising fears of a return to all-out war. This is AP News. The AP's Julie Walker reports aging death row inmates are set to die in Florida.
The last prisoner strapped to a table in Florida's death chamber was 74 years old, the oldest the state executed in modern times. The next two set to die are even older. The series of executions due to be carried out by the end of this month highlights the nation's aging death row population. For some, like Reverend Dustin Fedden, it renews questions about the humanity of administering capital punishment to inmates who might soon die from natural causes.
As though to say, you can't escape execution. We're not going to let natural death, help you escape executions.
One of Florida's prisoners scheduled to die in July is 80 years old and would be only the second known octogenarian to be executed in the U.S. I'm Julie Walker.
More information at apnews.com. I'm Ed Donahue.
You're listening to Mornings with Patti, where the conversation belongs to everyone.
Half a day, Guam. This is Paul Stanko with your National Weather Service. There will be fewer showers today at the lower end of scattered instead of the upper end. Scattered showers will continue through Saturday, then showers will be isolated. Southwest winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour will continue all week. Seas will be 6 to 8 feet through Wednesday, then increase to 7 to 9 feet. There will be a moderate risk of rip currents through Wednesday along south and west facing reefs, which could become high Thursday. A tropical disturbance to our west is a feature we will have to watch. The latest weather information is always available at www.weather.gov.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here.
Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
Off at Guam. Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and hit the streets right now. This will be your first look at your traffic report, brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. You could schedule a test drive. All you got to do is give us a call at 478-AUTO, or you can check out our inventory if you visit our website at guamautospot.com. We got light traffic this morning on the southern end of the island, as well as the central part. Northern areas looking really nice this morning. It looks like everyone is moving really great through the north, as well as southbound traffic around the Guam Regional Medical City, the Micronesia Mall, Kmart, or getting around Village of Donkey. We've got no delays there. Route 16, nice and smooth, as well as Route 8. So if there's anywhere on the streets of Guam that you need to be, now will probably be your best bet. Let's continue to keep our eyes on the roads. Make sure you're not texting and driving. Remember, Guam, seat belts are sexy. Allow some braking distance between yourselves and the vehicle in front of you, and we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Tuesday morning. We are moving forward with your traffic report, and again, Guam, it's all being brought to you by our friends at Guam Auto Spot right here on the Wave 105 FM.
Off at Guam, over the last 2 years, we have built strong relationships, opened new doors, and created real opportunities for our island. Those partnerships continue to grow stronger, and together, we are making meaningful progress for Guam. Early voting for 2026 primary elections begins July 9th and runs through July 25th at the Westin Resort. Tuesdays through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now is not the time to lose momentum. The foundation has been laid. The relationships have been built, and opportunities before Guam have never been greater. Your vote will help ensure we continue moving forward together. I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Let's keep building a stronger future for Guam. I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
Rise and shine with Roots Breakfast Buffet. Served daily from 6:30 to 9:30 a.m. at Guam Plaza Resort. Seniors enjoy 15% off for a limited time. Save your spot now. Call 671-649-7760 to reserve.
Here we go, 6:41 this morning. Welcome to the program. So, Lindsey Graham's sister has been appointed to finish her brother's Senate term. So that's before they actually go and find another GOP candidate to represent that party for the midterms. But the president had said the other day, I have someone in mind, and made it very clear that he wanted to have Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene, be appointed to replace him. And so that happened. The governor of South Carolina named her. That's been confirmed. It was still a sort of up in the air thing a minute ago, but today, or just now, it's showing that he's appointed to his sister, who apparently he adopted when they were younger. She was like 13 years old when they lost their parents. And then he adopted her, and I guess they were just figuring, they do that when the terms are finished out by, their relatives, like their daughter in Grijalva's case, Raul Grijalva's daughter, was sworn in, and then cases like this where somebody in their family assumes, and it's just it's a temporary appointment, and you're just filling out, and a lot of times when you have that sort of temporary appointment, you don't necessarily. You try to carry out the work of your relative as closely as you possibly can, but it's a place setter, placeholder, that is, for the next person that's going to come in. And this, nobody expected Lindsey Graham to keel over like that at this point in his life. And they start off with the announcement that Lindsey Graham suddenly died. In fact, I didn't even know it. I mean, it was I saw it on social media, but these days, I don't know about you guys, but these days you just don't know what's true anymore. They used to put something that says AI generated at the bottom of a video or something, right? And sometimes you feel like you can tell, but I feel like I'm duped all the time. Oh, I mean, I just feel like I don't. I feel. Have you been duped? No. You can tell the difference. I can tell the difference. Even when I feel like I can tell the difference, they have to be really dramatic. Like there's obviously some ones you're
Maybe
like,
you just gotta filter your, kind of flush it out. How
do you do that?
No, your followers and who you are following, right?
Well, I mean, if I'm randomly doing a For You, I'm not following anybody, right?
Okay,
yeah,
okay, on your TikTok page.
Yeah, if I'm just perusing through threads, you know what I mean, and Reddit, things pop up, and you're not
really
necessarily
good. AI's really good. They're
gosh,
really
I
good.
mean,
they're really good. I mean, they can. You guys got to be careful, especially for those of you that use your voices on apps and things like that, because we can take that and we can put it on something else, and AI generation it's really smart. You know what I mean? You can use Obama's voice and put it on Taylor Swift. Like it's dangerous.
It's dangerous because they use these voices to say things that would be uncommonly said by some of these voices.
Yes, it is very dangerous.
James Earl Jones, he's the guy who was Mufasa.
Yes.
And he's the voice of CNN.
Right.
When before he died, they captured his voice, and his family still gets the royalties, because they captured his voice so that they could alter it, or not alter it, but use the voice, and I guess alter it, to be able to still be a spokesperson and still run audio or cut audio for different things where his voice is contracted, even post-death. That's pretty amazing. I mean, if you could take your voice and it's always going to be, it'll always be a part of a product, and you're making money off of it, or your estate is making money off of it long after you're dead. That's some pretty cool stuff. That's some pretty cool stuff.
I wouldn't do that, but I got you though. I got you.
Yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but so I you know what I feel, and there's a news release out there from Public Health that's saying that there are some grifters out there that are trying to get to you, that they're presenting themselves as somebody who's either coming to your house or contacting you in some way, trying to offer you some assistance. And people, when they're desperate for assistance, and even if there's no programs at the moment that are being pushed by the government so you can get some relief, they have folks that are out there that are trying to get you to pay them for these services, and either they're just leaving you holding the bag, or they know that they can get money out of you because you're desperate to get your power on or your water fixed or something. Oh, somebody doesn't know what I do for a living, so let me just turn this off. Anyway, so that's the situation with older folk that tend to, and desperate folk that tend to be so trusting when it comes to events where people are trying to take advantage of you, especially during these tough times. And so I think there are a bunch of people who are running for office that are using the letters to the editor op-ed pieces actually to talk about their campaigns or what they stand for. These are people that don't necessarily have a big budget that they are going to spend a lot of money, or they're waiting for free forums where they can participate. But they're writing these letters to the editor, which is another way to get people to hear what you have to say. One of the ones who's been doing it quite a bit, and even before he was running for office, is Dave Duenas. He's been a talk show supernumerary around here for several years. He's no longer doing that because he's running for office. But every time I see Dave's columns in one of and it's usually the PDN, he's talking about, he was bringing up the idea that Guam should have bunkers, and when the chips are down, it's likely that the average civilian will not have any place to go unless you've dug your own bunker or unless you've got a stowaway place that you're going to find to be safe. There's really no formal, official place for you to shelter. And so he's been pushing that agenda for a while. His latest one that I was looking at today actually has a pretty good point, and it's called Emergency SNAP Benefits Needed After 2 Typhoons. And he's making the point that the governors and Congress the delegates between Guam and the CNMI have to make a stronger case to the Department of Agriculture to help out people who are not SNAP recipients getting some kind of help through their lost foods that came from not having any power.
Oh, yes.
Did you throw anything out yet?
Patty, I still have no power, Patty.
I know. So did you throw anything out yet?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's all been gone.
It's been a while.
My refrigerator is just Jesus, and it's just
it's
Jesus.
like a random. It's like a random Jello gel mold in there.
Like Doritos or something. I got nothing in mind. I'm waiting though. But hey, I got a clean refrigerator, so when I finally go grocery shopping, you know what I mean? It's gonna look nice. It's spick and span. So as soon as that light kicks on, I'm ready to roll. So yes, I'm.
So in cases like yours and cases like mine, you and I are not eligible for supplemental nutritional assistance.
Even if I qualified, I still don't line up for that, Patty. I don't do the PUAs and the DUAs and the food stamps in the emergency only because I really feel that there's other people that really do need it, and if I can make with what I have, then I'll just make it work, Patty. So I'm good.
So it's a good thing you have a job, because a lot of people who do have jobs.
Oh no, I use parent money.
Okay. Well, there's a different
my
SNAP.
Parents are retired.
That's a parent SNAP, is what that is. Gotcha.
I got retirement funds, so that helps.
All right. Well, that works much better than taking from the government. I get it. I'm with you. Except for
I don't do lines. So let's just be honest. Dice don't do lines. I'm sorry, guys. I'm being selfish here. I don't do lines.
Well, it would be electronically transferred. Now, see, if what they're working for isn't the people who are on SNAP, but if you are on SNAP, there's emergency benefits that are going to you because you're eligible already. He's talking about people who are not on SNAP. Now, would you do that?
No.
If they were giving you, let's say they're giving you $500 to replenish what it was, they're going to give it to you as equally as they're going to give it to me and maybe somebody who's a 1%er. Like who doesn't need $500 worth of groceries, but is going to get it anyway.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of. I mean, would you take it? You still wouldn't take it.
No.
Oh heck. Well then, can I have yours, bro?
I can't do it, Patty.
I mean, it's not. It's okay. All right. So you don't.
If I'm okay, then I'll take it. I don't like to put too much on my plate if I don't need it. That's where I'm at. If I don't, I'm be fine. You know what? I'm great. Am I grateful? 100%. Look, y'all, I'm grateful. Don't get
Well, the
get
thing
it
about it
twisted.
is that you
But
also
I'ma be
pay for
okay.
that, right?
Yeah,
You also pay for that. Your taxes pay for these programs that that you can't avail yourself of. When I
it's
was
just me. If I had like a whole family, then you know what I mean. Patty,
Yeah.
it's me. I'm not married. Like, dude, I'll be
Okay,
fine. And you bring me food every day, so I'm good.
I
You
guess I'm
feed
asking.
me.
I guess I'm asking the wrong
yeah.
person because you
Right,
have
for
resources.
someone that has- yeah, if they
you have
have kids,
resources that
yeah.
you can.
Dude, I don't have a full house.
No, I get it.
right?
I get it. I'm probably asking the wrong person because you don't have children
have
and
kids.
you're
I'm
kind of
not
independent on
married.
your own. I, on the other
I'm
hand,
not independent, Patty. You take care of me, Patty.
Yeah, well, I, on the other hand, have to take care of Dice, so I would
You need to
accept
go
the
get it,
benefit.
Patty. You better
I-
go get that.
If they put $500 in my account and said go buy groceries, trust, I probably will do that.
Right on.
But the thing about it is that I was trying to make a point, and maybe when I first had my first child, and
Y'all
this
better
is
take
in the
that
state of
money.
Hawaii, where every opportunity is given to a new mother to take advantage of WIC. They just become automatically eligible for something like that. And I never knew what WIC was, and they came to me and they said, "Would you like to take part in this women, infants, and children program?"
Nice.
And for that exact same reason, I said no. I really don't. I had resources to feed my child, and I had the same thought. I'll leave it for somebody else who has. And they said, the benefits are available to you. It doesn't make any difference if you are on public welfare or not. It's just available to you. And I thought, nah, I still don't. I'm okay. I don't need public assistance. So I get that. And it's a prideful situation. It can be a very prideful situation, but when they were passing out stimulus checks, I will tell you, nobody said no.
They got stimulus checks coming out.
Yeah, no, I mean when they did, when they back during the during
money,
COVID.
money. Yeah, that's shoe money. Hold on, now food money. Look, that's Macy's money. Stop. Look, I'll take
the cash, but I'm not going to take the voucher.
I'm good.
I got it.
don't
I
need
see
that.
where you're
You know
going
what
now.
I mean, come on, dude. I'm good, but I'll tell you, I'll take that shoe money though. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going shopping.
Well, it's okay. So thanks for the clarification. Our field producer said it was known as DSNAP, disaster. Okay, we're both talking about the same thing. I just didn't actually put the name on it, but yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. Anyway.
Okay.
So
DSNAP is coming out.
Well, that's what they're pushing for.
Dang, Patty, how you gonna get us halfway hyped up? It's like you messing our emotions, Patty. We all about to make a grocery list. He's like, hold on, y'all, maybe not yet. Everybody hold on to your grocery list. It's like, how you gonna get us halfway hyped up?
Well, I think that there was a push. The thing about it is that the federal
Okay.
government has recognized that Sinlaku and this storm, Bobby, were not severe enough that it caused rampant damage that people were suffering and can't sort of get out of that.
We
They
should have
need.
left that power off a little longer.
Yeah.
Everybody's turning my power on. Now we ain't getting
Well, the thing
snapped.
about it was y'all did is that you fortified your homes during Sinlaku, so Bobby barely touched it, right? A lot of people were so prepared.
EcoFlow generators.
Yeah.
I see, y'all.
Suddenly
we
everybody
wasn't
has a generator,
suffering.
right?
We lucked out. We lucked out. Okay, so we kind of lucked out on this
Yeah.
round.
Okay. We lucked out on. We definitely lucked out, and so we're excited.
Go for it.
That. Well, I mean, I'm not
Okay,
going to
go.
say excited, but I mean there are people who are saying, and I'm talking again about a middle class section of people
for
that
it.
are too poor to be rich and too rich to be poor.
Too poor to be
You know
rich,
that
too rich to
feeling?
be poor.
Yeah, like you're not in that. You're not in a higher class of people.
No, I'm in the poor class.
Yeah,
I'm in
yeah,
the
that's
poor.
what I'm saying.
I'm in the poor folk.
Oh,
Whatever
you
that
could
is.
be. You could be that.
I'm in
You
the poor
could
class.
be. Middle income, but your toes are hanging off a cliff. You
Super
know what I
poor.
mean? To get into, you're not poverty. You're not poverty.
I feel poverty. Are we getting stimulus?
Because
Patty, we're trying to get. Stop, Patty. You are not helping.
If it's shoes, she's poor. If
Look.
it's food, she's rich. Like I'm feeling poverty.
What kind of poverty is that a word? How we gonna get this money? I'm about to lie.
Oh my God.
I'm ready to lie, man.
Mhm.
Be like, how much you make unemployed? I'm about to lie on this application.
Oh my God.
Lie.
Unemployed.
I'll be unemployed. How long you ain't been?
Everybody knows who you are. There's
It's
no way.
I'm finna lie. It's like, I want me some money.
Yeah.
I got you.
But the stimulus money was meant to be for that. A lot of people took their $1,000 or $1,300. I don't know how much it was, $1,300 or whatever. They took it and ran. I mean, they were going out, and everybody in the house, if they were on the tax rolls, they all got one too. So people were sitting pretty during the pandemic. Like they were getting disaster SNAP. Some people were actually, the entire government of Guam was still working during that time or getting paid during that time. And yeah, I mean, it was good if you were working for the government of Guam because you basically had a 6-week, 8-week, 2-month vacation, something like that. Because you never had to go to active work.
I got you.
During that time. But anyway, the point is that they're bucking for disaster SNAP, and I think that was what the governor was saying yesterday. That they've made a point, they've made a case that people have lost food. At the very least, FEMA says that the damage on Guam wasn't bad enough in Sinlaku or
Because you
Bobby.
asked her, and you're like, Governor, how did we do? She's like, give us a 9 out of 10. I'm like, Governor, lie. Give us a 3 out of 10.
She said 8 out of 9.
Yeah, 8 out of.
She said 8 to 9.
8 to 9. I'm like, man, Governor,
That
look,
was her
Governor, we
response.
love you, but sometimes we just gotta make it up.
Well, she was saying that. I go, how would you rate your performance?
She's like,
and she
it's
said between
splendid.
8 and 9.
Like,
yeah.
oh God.
Well, she's going to say that because
She has to, yeah, for sure,
Well, I mean,
for
she
sure, of course,
she has to say that not only because she's the governor and she
Yeah.
wants to rate. She didn't give
Yeah.
herself a 10
No,
because you give yourself a 10, you're going to find people, poking holes into your number
Listen,
10.
Governor, next time we want Macy's money, Governor, Macy's.
Didn't we do that for Christmas?
I don't know.
When she said she was going to go she was going to go Christmas shopping, and we were trying to guess how much money that she had on her credit card.
I know she loves
It's like when the
Skechers,
governor
though.
goes shopping, where does she go with her paycheck?
Yeah, she has really nice shoes, though.
Does she? Never
she
noticed.
Does. You don't? Wow. Okay.
I've never looked at her
You
shoes.
never look at her shoes?
I don't look at her outfits. There was a couple of times. No, I don't.
You don't?
There's a couple of times where I've seen her in photos. I'm like, oh, she looks good. She looks great.
I mean,
standing up in
presentable,
front
of course, but
yeah.
Down to the kicks, I'm like,
I don't even look at the
Skechers,
shoes.
Get
Where
out
am
of here,
Where's my
Converse.
brain?
Yeah,
I'm looking at who she's with.
I don't know who puts her
Okay.
outfits together, but they do a good job.
Well,
I'm
she
like,
ha-
Guff, nice on the fit, denim, that's okay. Jacket, blazer, look at you. Okay, you got it.
She was
You got it
rocking
together.
a casual wear when she
That's
went
great.
aboard a helicopter yesterday to get
Didn't
to
you see
Rhoda.
that? And she wore Power 98 kicks. They were pink. Sorry, I'm so nosy.
she was endorsing?
She was.
You really were
I
looking
was,
very
I was
closely
looking. I
at
was
the
like,
shoes.
no,
Okay.
because if you're going to represent, I don't want our governor make shame day. I was like, hey, who put the governor's outfit
Oh, see,
together?
I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying?
I got you.
Right? You got
Okay.
me?
All
That's
right.
how we do.
All right.
Governor, good job.
I wasn't paying attention. I
That's
think I'm
okay.
paying attention to the wrong things. I'm like, where is she? Who's that next to her? What did they talk about? And I'm like, the shoe. I'm going to start defusing myself by looking more at the people's outfits.
She
and find out-
represents. She goes
Okay.
hard. I'm like, okay, get it, Gov. I ain't mad at that. Okay. Okay.
Well, it is coming up on the top of the hour, and we are going to be hitting that AP news. And on the other side of that, a little more conversation. I do have a guest in the studio coming up at 8 o'clock. It's actually more of a human. Yes,
a she.
A she. Her name is Chantal Wong. A lot of people may know her, but she's in town for her 50th class reunion. But more important to that, she's recognizing people who helped her. She is the former ambassador of the United States to the Philippines, and that term ended with Biden. So she's back to doing the things that Chantal does, which is pretty much everything. So she's not born in Guam, but she was raised here, and she's coming back to meet the people and talk to the folks who have gotten her this far. And so I've done an interview with her in the past. We were friends in high school, and so she's really coming home with such fervor to be able to see and absorb everything and see folks that she hasn't seen in a long time. So it'll be great to catch up with her. That'll be in the 8 o'clock hour. That's here on Mornings with Patti. We are KGUM-FM in Dedi Do, Guam.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. Maine Senator Angus King says he was told by the Homeland Security Secretary a driver was shot and killed today by an ICE officer in Biddeford, Maine. Mark Wayne Mullen told King the agent opened fire after the man tried to use his vehicle as a weapon against agents who were pursuing him for deportation. Bystander video taken after the shooting showed agents trying to slow a white sedan that was driving in circles at an intersection in Biddeford. In Minnesota, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says they're getting help in investigating the deaths by government officers of Alex Patti and Renee Good.
Through the cooperation of our federal partners, we have obtained the hard drives of previously withheld evidence in the killings of Renee Good and Alex Patti and the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis. We have also obtained some of the physical evidence that was previously withheld, including Renee Good's car.
The attorneys representing the federal government signed on to the motion. A judge ruled President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS over leaked tax returns was improper under the law,
ruling it was an exercise in self-dealing filed for an improper purpose. She referred one of his attorneys for discipline. The lawsuit laid the groundwork for a settlement that granted Trump immunity from tax audits and created the now abandoned anti-weaponization fund. In her scathing ruling, Judge Williams says this lawsuit was not brought to vindicate rights. It was brought to manipulate the judicial process to pursue benefits unavailable in litigation. Of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who's preparing for his confirmation hearing Wednesday, Williams writes that his apparent capacity to speak for both plaintiffs and defendants demonstrates there was only one party whose interests were being represented throughout the case. I'm Jennifer King.
President Trump says the U.S. will blockade Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and charge ships for safe passage. Stocks are lower in late-day trading. This is AP News. Ukraine is getting more help.
Ukraine and 9 other countries announced that they are forming a coalition to protect Europe from ballistic missiles. Zelensky was in Paris seeking help in developing measures against Russia's missile attacks that have pummeled Ukraine as the rest of Europe remains wary of Moscow's wider ambitions on the continent. Zelensky and leaders of Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom say they recognize the growing threat posed by ballistic missiles, which are harder to stop than cruise missiles or drones. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
South African officials say they deported or repatriated more than 53,000 immigrants in a month in a crackdown on illegal migration. The crackdown coincided with a series of sometimes violent protests by anti-migrant groups demanding all immigrants in the country without documents return home. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Guam is building the future, and the right conversations start here. SAME Guam Post invites you to the 2026 Industry Forum happening July 28 through 30 at the Dusitani Resort. Join military, government, and industry leaders as they come together to discuss Guam's future in infrastructure, resilience, and regional growth. This premier event connects you to Guam's next generation of infrastructure. Registration is open. Visit GuamIndustryForum.com. The 2026 SAME Industry Forum, delivering Indo-Pacific readiness.
Guam, half a day, everyone. Welcome back. Mornings with Patti. This is the Wave 105 FM, 7:03 in the morning, and the show is being brought to you by our friends at Subway, where you can eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at SubwayPacific.com for your convenience or for pickup right at your doorstep. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com. It's powered by Good to Go. We deliver at Subway. You got to refresh to be fresh. Bank Pacific, where others place branches, we place roots. Visit BankPacific.com today. GTA, we start with you. Mobile gas stations turn every fuel stop into rewards with Mobile Smiles. Download the app today for exclusive offers and faster rewards at the pump. Mobile Smiles, fuel up and save. Take Care Insurance Company, Our Island, your health plan. Triple J Auto Group, close your eyes and open your senses. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5 is here from $29,995 or $198 per paycheck for qualified buyers. Triple J Mazda, the Agania Shopping Center. Shop, dine, and relax at the Agania Shopping Center, your destination for food, fun, and local favorites all year long. Patch, tinting, and detailing for all your special interior cleaning. Call 483-7522. Code 1 Store is your tactical shop for public safety and everyday gear, serving Guam since 1999. Shop 511 Tactical and Condor Outdoor, plus steel-toe footwear. Stop by Code 1 Store today. And Chili's Grill and Bar. More life, great food, and memories happen here. Good morning, Guam, and welcome back. It's Mornings with Patti, right here on the Wave 105 FM.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malik Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys, let's take a look at traffic. This will be your second look forward this morning, brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive. Just give us a call at 478-AUTO. Or if you'd like to take a look at our inventory, check out our website. That's GuamAutospot.com. We're going to dance around the southern end of the island. It looks like we got an even flow of traffic southbound rolling into the naval base this morning, so just a heads up over on that end. PD traffic is light this morning. It looks like it's moving great around day by day, coming around the Fish Eye Marine Center or coming around Assen Beach Park. It looks like traffic is moving great. Anigua traffic is just as nice. Naval Hospital, no delays there. In Hagåtña, it looks like traffic is beginning to pick up in Hagåtña. That's going to be coming around the Chamorro Village, Chief Kapua Park, getting around the Bank of Guam intersection, or the Agania Shopping Center. We got ourselves a little north and southbound there. Mong Mong Tuk to Mighty, that is Route 8 this morning. Traffic is light, moving great north as well as southbound. Now, if you hop on to Route 10 this morning, we have an even flow of traffic coming out of Manilao as traffic from the southern end getting around Chalanpago, hopping on to Route 10 and moving around Ordot. It looks like we got an even flow there. Route 16, it's nice and smooth. No delays over on that side, as well as Dedido and getting around Jigo this morning. Let's keep our eyes on the roads, not on the phones. No texting and driving on the streets of Guam. Ensure that your seatbelts are fastened. Remember, guys, seatbelts are sexy. And let's get our kids in the proper booster and car seats. You also want to allow some braking distance between yourselves and the vehicle in front of you. Aside from that, we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Tuesday morning. This is your traffic report. Again, it's all being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive. Give us a call at 478-AUTO or look at our inventory on our website at GuamAutospot.com.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all recent high school and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo! We'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Hafaday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit GHRA.org for details.
Why be at the forefront of childhood cancer research? At St. Jude, we do it because every innovation we make is a moment we give to children with cancer everywhere. But we can't do it without you. Help St. Jude give children with cancer more moments. Moments that can last a lifetime. Learn more at stjude.org.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions
to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time spent building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of kids lose access to the food they count on during the school year. As a neighbor-led network, Feeding America is deeply rooted in every community, ensuring summer meals continue nourishing growth and potential. Your support puts healthy food within reach, fueling the future for kids and their families. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
This election, it isn't just about who leads Guam, it's about the future we choose together. Join the University of Guam College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences and the Free Association Task Force for Beyond the Status Quo, the gubernatorial debate, Wednesday, July 15 from 6 to 8 p.m. at the UOG Class Lecture Hall. Here the candidates discuss the issues that matter most, compare their visions for Guam, and if you can't make it in person, watch live on YouTube or listen on Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Beyond the Status Quo. Hear their vision, make your choice.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
My name is Erica, and my son Kason is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here.
Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey. Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, may I ask a few questions?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog.
Great. Do you have a pool outside?
Nope, just a big old backyard.
Nice. Another question. Are there any unlocked guns in the home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let's just talk about what we can bring for dessert.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a canine companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia. We quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Things that could make a person happy.
I am. I
know
feel
what
like
I
I'm
mean?
an engineer. Yesterday I was a weather header. Today I'm
No,
an
yeah,
engineer.
actually earlier this
Dude.
week you put the station
Bro,
back on the air is
doing
what you
some
did.
Stuff. I'm very impressed with myself.
As well you
I'm
should.
impressed with myself. Look at me, little Bob the Builder me.
She's
Hey,
MacGyvering
I tell
everything
you,
that she touches.
I'm touching stuff.
Gosh.
Till I break it. Then it was you.
And then it's then it'd be Patty touched it.
Patty told me to do this.
Patty touched it.
It was Patty's idea.
Ah,
Okay, we got warm calls coming in.
Okay, let's do it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm absolutely. Good morning. This is Patty. 7:17 in the morning. Who am I speaking with?
Good morning, Patti.
Half a day, sir. It's been a while.
Yeah, I've been busy cleaning up the mess.
Oh man, what happened to your place?
Pardon me?
What happened to your place?
Oh, Yvonne's house is okay. I'm just doing a little clean up at the back.
Oh, okay. All right. So did everything's okay with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely. I'm glad that do you have power though?
Yeah, we got, I think it was 3-4 days ago, we had power. Then the following day, we had water.
Okay.
So I'm able to shower in the hot water.
Nice. Sometimes that's all you need. A little hot shower to start your day. That's great. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that. Okay. So what are we talking about today?
The Liberation, any parade going on?
No, sir. Cancel.
Cancel?
Cancel.
Oh, my God. No military marching
No,
unit?
sir. No, sir. They're just not going to do anything, I guess, right now. They think that perhaps they don't think Marine Corps Drive is ready. DPW is out there trying to do all the repairs to roadways anyway. They just think that it's going to be too much of a strain on the government of Guam agencies that are still responding to the typhoon or had responded to the typhoon, and nobody has time to go inside and pick the chain of love or whatever needs to be to decorate the floats. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. I was hoping at least the military marching unit and the band, especially the Air Force, the National Guard, the Marines, all those military guys, the Navy. At least not the float. If the mayors are too tied up with their village activities, at least the marching unit, military marching unit.
Right. Okay. And those were always the best, I mean, you see, for those of us, that have gone down to the parade route, or we see it, the military's participation, you sort of see these guys, and it's always it's always impressive watching that. The military is our guests at the, in the governor's section where they watch it, and they're a huge part of the parade, and then a lot of people like to invite them because I think that we're well known for that. You could see a couple of guys in uniform just walking back to their cars or whatever, and they'll pull them over and say, "Hey, come and eat," and they don't care about anything other than just, "Hey, you're a person walking by, and you are a guest of our family." So. That's an outpouring of what it is that we do, and it's always nice to see that. There are a lot of people who said right now we've gone through 2 typhoons this year. The prices of everything is so high, goods and fuel, and that we probably needed a day off from all of that to enjoy, the parade. But there's so much more that goes into it, and I think that the government is saying that we just don't have it in us to be able to pull that off in a week. So. Yeah. Anyway, so what are you going to do? Have a barbecue? Have a barbecue anyway.
I'm just trying to take it easy for now and catch up with all this damage.
Oh, yeah.
I'm now heading down towards the ranch, and I know yesterday I went down, and it's only half of the ranch. I built that ranch. This is my son Richard's ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's Richard's property. He has a title for that ranch, and I'm just, turning it into a ranch. Bush cutting it, make it, look nice.
Yeah.
It's a good exercise.
Dice reminds me that this came from the governor's office, right? All Liberation memorials and the Liberation Day parade and a planned 2-day festival have been canceled over Super Typhoon Bobby in favor of one unified ceremony on July 21st. The unified ceremony is set for July 21st after the 10 a.m. Liberation Mass at the Agana Cathedral Basilica. Okay. So, did you go to the ones in your village?
No. Patti, I just turned on the TV on Channel 3, and I said masses. A matter of fact, I just left Ivan's house, and it's on Channel 3. They're having a mass.
Okay.
So I don't, really, I don't need to go to church. Same, but it's more convenient for me because it's the house.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, there's a mass on television. Is that live or is that EWTN or something? Oh, Channel 3. I don't know what Channel 3 is.
ETW.
Oh, EWTN. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, they usually have that. But, you can, the Agana Cathedral Basilica, they record their masses or it's broadcast live.
Yeah,
right?
On a Sunday. I think it's 1:20 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. I'll take your word for it. I'm not mass hunting on television, but I do know that that's a go-to. And they say, if you're able-bodied and ready to go, that doesn't substitute it by watching on television. You've got to be infirmed, bedridden or sick or something where you physically can't go. But anyway, I wish you well. Don't pick up anything that's too heavy, and make sure you don't step on anything that might hurt your foot.
Yeah, the nails.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Be careful with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a nice day. Hey, thank you for checking in. I was wondering if you were okay. I appreciate you telling us.
Okay.
All right. God bless. All right. That's Tata Joe.
Right. We should put him on our Live 360. Be like, I know where you're at. You're on your way to
the
bus.
I gotta call out. I gotta call out all my old peeps because I was wondering if he was okay, and I actually have Yvonne's number.
Okay.
And I had a fleeting thought. Oh, don't forget to call Yvonne to talk to her about her dad. So I'm glad that he called. It's always good to hear from him.
For sure.
7:24 now. Dice and I had been talking last hour about AI, and I said that I feel like I have been. I thought I had a discerning eye. I feel like I thought I had a discerning eye when it came to that, and some of them are they're so obvious, right? Okay. It's so obvious that they clearly could not be real. Some of these scenarios, but every once in a while, I do get duped into something, right? And I can't tell if it's real or not, and I might share it. And then, whatever comes back to somebody would say it's, I mean, no one's ever judged whether or not, but I just think that there are so many outstanding, remarkable stories that it's difficult to tell whether or not they're true. And yeah, and you know me, I'm into Karens. I like watching Karens get. I like watching Karens get their karma. You know what I mean? I like to see why they're constantly upset and how to diffuse. It's actually me learning psychology. Okay. Like in a scenario where the girl is like beating on the cash register because her card is declined. She's holding everybody in the store hostage because she's out of control. She doesn't have a weapon in her hand. She's just like charging at people, and she must be all of like 100 pounds, but people are scared, right?
It's like, look, ma'am, your husband set you a limit. Okay.
Yeah, and she's like, she couldn't understand why her card was declined, and she kept asking him to try again. Okay. Listen, I had my card declined. When I was on vacation.
Okay.
And they immediately called. I had used it just right before that, and then I went to another place and I used it and it was declined. I couldn't understand why.
Right.
I didn't tell them to run it again. I was like, okay. Well, I did actually. I said, run it again. I don't know what that. And it turns out, because I was traveling and I was bouncing.
Yes, I hate that.
I didn't call the company. I didn't call the company to tell them I was. Right. So the fraud. I am still under a fraud alert because you know what they're requiring.
Gosh, what is
they're
that?
requiring
I tried that.
the verification process for this particular card has taken over a month. They will not accept a passport photo. They wouldn't accept the front of two separate photos of the front and the back of my ID. They wanted it side, but it's too much. Wow. It is too much. Anyway.
Wow. Okay, for sure. Yeah.
So
when
you get declined for a number of reasons. These days it doesn't. Hey, these days
it's look, Banks. I'm back on Guam. Please activate everything.
Yeah, that was my fault. I bounced from like Japan to California. I mean to Nevada in like less than 24 hours. So it became a thing.
Oh my gosh, I've so tried that.
Okay.
Oh my God, that sucks.
So, but I'm not
embarrassing.
I'm not beating up the cash register for it. You know,
people looking at you like you broke. Be like, first of all,
yeah.
Okay,
first of all, ma'am, it's Walmart.
Okay,
I was in Walmart.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay,
I was in Walmart because there was a particular thing that they had that I could only find at Walmart.
Like Walmart, I think Walmart's catching on to me, man, because they don't give me dog food anymore.
Are you ordering? You order off?
Yeah, you don't need to get like
because
dog
it's
food.
free. I know people who order products
so
from
now
there.
they're like, and then that little red tab will show up, and I'm like, dang, I can't get any more dog food.
Oh.
It's like, stop getting all the
you're
dog
buying
food.
all the dog food.
I'm buying
I
dog
see.
food,
I see.
so I get the big bad boys. So I'm like, oh, gosh.
So we're talking about getting duped, and I get duped. I've been
AI.
getting. I just feel like I don't know yet. I don't know. I can't tell. And I look for the little icon that says AI generated. And sometimes it shows up. Sometimes you just have to have the discerning eye. And I'm not there yet.
That's okay.
So we were talking about watching things. And Dice said to me, that I was saying how voices are used, like James Earl Jones, his voice is being used. He used to be the big, strong voice of CNN. They took his voice before he died, and they are paying his family royalties because they are still making contracts on his voice.
His voice just makes you want to make good choices. His voice just says, don't do it. Don't you hear the voice? It just makes you want to make good choices.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
His voice is sexy. I got you.
So, yeah, I mean, it can happen. So what she's saying is that AI is being used for sinister stuff.
Yes.
As most of this new generation stuff happens.
Yep.
You're saying that they can capture the voice of your parents.
Luring children now. Yes. They're like, open the door. Daddy's outside. Don't do it. That's not your dad. Don't do it. They're luring kids now with AI voices. Scammers, they can now copy voices and, they're kidnap scammers. They're out there. So you just got to be careful because they can mimic your voice. It's very, very dangerous. You guys got to be careful. Don't get too comfortable on.
So what do they call your phone and they say, hey, Riley, this is Nana.
I mean,
open the door or something like that. You know what? In our family, we have a code word, and I think that this is about the time that we should probably use it.
Okay.
Like it's like something you drop the code word, and that code word is what each of us members of my family know that it's something that is an emergency.
See,
we've never used the code word because we've never had an emergency.
I need a
God,
code
thank
word.
God.
I need a code
Yeah,
word.
you do. You need a code word for your family because in that case,
Watch
your
me
voice.
forget the code word.
Oh my God.
It's like, what's the code word? I'll forget it. I'm stuck outside. About to be kidnapped. Jason.
The cops are calling. The cops are coming over, arresting you for.
I tell you, I forgot the code. Jason Freddy Krueger's right at me. Open the door. What's the code? Open the damn door.
Michael Myers. Michael Myers is on your tail.
Gosh, oh my God.
So a code word, and especially for stuff like that, if you have children, is what you use when you say,
Okay.
hey, Riley, this is not a open the door. Reindeer, right?
Okay.
And then
That's
he
good.
knows.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
But if I don't use reindeer, then he has to be suspicious.
Right.
God, there's so many scenarios.
I know. It is.
Especially if you have multi-children.
Bad.
You really don't know when.
It's really dangerous. I mean, there was just a couple. Where's that story at? It was just a couple of months back. There was a mom. She lost thousands of dollars from her account, and scammers used AI to mimic her daughter's voice. And it's really crazy. It's so bad. I mean, I like AI for certain things, but it's like now we're cloning people and we're going deep fake. It's dangerous. You guys got to be careful. Everyone, just be careful when you guys are out there sharing videos and scanning your photos, because I don't know. Even my phone now, it don't even know me no more. I'm like, look, it's me. Facial recognition not recognized. I'm like, look, I got a haircut. It's like,
yeah, mine is my
like,
facial
God.
recognition. I have facial recognition on all of my credit cards and my bank accounts, right? And if and I will get shut down, especially one particular bank. I have like I think I have 3 tries before they go no. And then you got to go into the bank and actually. But these guys, it's a hassle. But if you're stupid and you're not paying attention, you put it on yourself. Like don't. I have to take off my glasses, or my hair has to be a certain way for the. Yeah. Anyway,
it's a nightmare.
It's
a nightmare.
But
It's a nightmare.
this is why there's something to be said about back in the day when they where most if not all people didn't have bank accounts. There were no banks to go to. Your currency was kept in your bra, and women still do that. They
do.
Your wallet has become your bra, and I've used it too. I don't want to carry something. I'll stuff it in my bra. I mean, it's kind of awkward when you're digging it out of there to pay the bill.
You're like, why
but,
is this 20 so wet?
Yeah.
The 20 is wet.
Lady, do you mind going to the
happened
bathroom?
there?
And I'm full on digging like I'm doing a purse. But I picked that up from watching women having used it because I think it's a great idea,
sure.
right?
Yes.
But or the under the mattress thing. I have a friend who
Under
told-
the mattress, like
that's the bank account.
Lord,
put it
first
under the
place
mattress.
anyone would look is under the Patty. Do better.
Well, I mean, now they
better.
do because
Yeah.
that was apparently somebody let the cat out of the bed.
I mean,
that
that's
under
like
the
hiding
mattress.
under the bed. It's
but
like,
back in the
look.
day, that was the preferred spot. Now it could be. I know somebody whose mother took cash, all the cash. She at the end of the day, she'd take like the last $10, $5, $50, whatever,
Okay.
and she would put it in pockets or zippers inside her clothing. It was her savings account.
Okay.
So when she died and her kids were clearing out, they found thousands of dollars over the years of her stuffing small bills in pockets and purses. And it was intentional. She did that intentionally so they could find her stuff. I'm clearing out all my drawers before I die because I want my kids to see pictures of me in the past. I'm like, no, let's get rid of this person that they never knew existed. You got to make sure all your stuff is right when they say, your daughters are going to clean out your nightstand. You're like, you better make sure there's something in there you don't want them to see. Memories in the memory box you don't want them to see, right?
That's it. That's the one.
So safe words could help a parent tell their kids, but you just that safe word has really got to be protected. And if you're in a situation where your kid is going to answer a phone and somebody on the other line is pretending to be you, where are you?
Right. For real.
Where are you?
Dude,
exactly. Where the kid is, the vulnerable child is left to their own devices.
No, it is. is. No, that's very true. You got to be careful, guys. Everyone, just be cautious. Just be cautious. Be a little more alert at what you guys are doing. So,
That's
you know,
the
hackers are
rule.
real. Hackers are real. I mean, they can get into like what do you call those car washes now? You know, the drive-through car washes. Oh, Patty.
Oh, and get them to. Oh,
Patty, they
that
turn
sounds
on-
easy.
Yeah, they'll
They
turn
could
on-
activate the car wash
They
and
activate-
drive through it.
They can. It's.
I
Very
feel like
dangerous.
that would be fun, but yes, I know. It's not even. It's not even.
So
To
you're
me,
driving around with wax and it's not rinsing off. It's like, dude, you just came through the car wash. Like,
for me,
you
it's
should have
about
wax
the
on your car.
thrill of the MacGyvering.
Okay.
It's not the money. Like I want to stiff somebody for $8. It's not that. It's like, can you rig it? That I find to be fun. I would see if we could rig it and then go pay for it. But I think the rigging is the fun part.
Could it happen?
Yeah,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure. Nonetheless, I mean, if you got an iPad, you can do a lot of things with it. I'm not saying that I do that because I'm a child of the Lord, but for other people,
You heathen criminals.
I'm a child of the Lord, so I
No
don't do those
judgment, but
things.
you're going to hell.
I don't do those things, but, you know, I can give you some websites.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you thought about it.
That's funny.
You know?
That's a good one.
Right? It's like, no, we're not doing that action. But yeah, just secure your accounts. Do a lot better,
Yeah.
guys. Just
Well,
secure 'em.
securing accounts that you every once in a
AI
while you
voices,
get.
yeah.
It's just for people like me who are
Okay.
very well established with all of these different things that I'm signed up to.
So Alexa
is
starts talking
remembering
back.
remembering the password.
That'd be crazy.
Remembering the password. It's like what's the password for our internet again? Right. And then we had to create a whole other system for the Starlink. And we tried to make it as easy as possible.
Oh my gosh, our password is just ridiculous.
What's your password?
No, it's kind of like you just ran your hand across the keyboard. It's like, what is this? Like, hold on. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
that
not
whole-
even a password.
It's a passkey
It's
is
a
what it is.
I'm like, what is this?
It's a passkey. No one will ever put
No
these
one-
symbols together.
It's like you just.
I do the
What is
passkey. I do the passkey like for my Social Security Administration
Right,
account
at
or
least
something like
something.
that. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Make sure.
It's like, what
That's
is the
funny.
password here? It's like, oh, it's this, and I'm like, that's not even a word. I know it's.
It works though.
I guess it works.
My
It works
kids
for
know
you.
all of my pins. They know, and I
Okay.
think I made it so that all of my passwords, it's always been the same. The
Okay.
number codes and everything, that's always been the same. And I think they've known this since they were young kids. That if you want to break into something and
Wow,
it's
you
in
share your
numerical,
pins with your kids? You're
Oh,
such
they-
a good mom. My mom would never. I'm still trying. She
Oh yeah.
would never.
No, I
You're
don't know
such a
their
good
pins
mom.
because I don't really care because
Oh, that's
they
so
don't
great.
they don't have the money. I don't really care what your bank account looks like.
Wow, my mom would never do that. Be like, Mom,
Well,
so what's your
I
pin?
feel like if I
I'd be
always
trying to
feel like-
peek sometimes. Be like, you know, I try to peek.
No, I feel like there's nothing. I think that if there's a time, you don't want to be when your parents are gone.
Right.
You don't want to be guessing what they were thinking or not knowing how to do something.
Big facts.
And so I'm constantly updating. You know, like here, you got the copy of the will, right?
Okay,
You know, I made some changes, and you're gonna have to. These are the changes. That kind of. You're no longer in it. No. So these
You know,
things.
I never
are business.
looked at my parents' will. Oh no! Oh, I got the check. I got the check. Hold on, I know I'm the favorite.
Well, you got to
I
because
double
you
check.
got to sit them down.
It's
and
a
you have
war
to say
between me
this
and
is-
Travis. Be like, Travis,
Yeah,
stop it.
exactly.
Travis, that's mine. You know she would have wanted me to have that.
You know
It's
what? What's
like, we're
in?
going
You
to
know what's
war.
in, you know what's in wills
What's
a
up?
lot is I don't know if it's for every family, but in wills you will find that it's like one for all for one. I grew up in a family where everybody is the same.
For
right?
sure, for sure.
So one for all, one for one. And if you, there's a thing in there that if you, and I told the
Okay.
kids, if you have a problem with this, you're done.
Oh.
You know what I mean? If you're like going to look at Sean or you're going to look at Tia and go, wait, hey,
Hold on.
if you even think to have that conversation about somebody getting something that you don't or coveting something or you question my wishes and you try to finagle your way out, you're done.
Right.
This is my word and this is what I said. I don't get to say all the time, but when I do in the end, that is to be respected. So, but the passwords, I should be watching. I maybe change it. Maybe something will happen.
It's like you got the house, you don't even clean your house. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do with the house? You don't even clean yours.
So I'm getting.
What's up?
I'm getting this video. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen this many times. How cool! There is a video that's circulating, and it's of the Harvard Din and Tonic Choral Group. They're here in town, and they've been performing, and I think they're having a big concert. coming up. I think it's at the Hilton. But
nice. What's
one prominent member of this group is the son of Andrew Gale.
Okay.
And he is performing, and everybody's watching it, and they're passing it on to so many people. If there's an opportunity to haul that, I'll probably call Andrew to find out if he knows.
So they're playing at the Hilton. How much is it to go watch?
I don't know what I have to go back and look at what
Okay.
the flyer says, but
Could be fun.
I mean, it's a choral. You want to get a little. They did it. I think they did a Johnny Sablon song.
Okay. Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, count me in. And that's at the Hilton.
I don't know where this is, but they are going to be appearing at the Hilton. The tall one is Andrew Gale's son. Go figure. Wow.
I like it.
Hey, they did a good job with the pronunciation and the accent. Let me go find out. Somebody actually sent me something that said
We
where
want
they
tickets. Yeah, we want to go. We want to go
Okay,
watch.
it is so cool. Let me find out where they are. It's the okay. Thank you. This has been forwarded many times. Not a
Okay.
crime. I'm getting one now from
That's
Las
really
Vegas.
cool.
The Harvard Gin and Tonics are Harvard University's signature jazz a cappella group. They are touring different parts of the world. They're here on Guam. Very cool. The song is Johnny Sablon's song. The gentleman in this middle is a Gale from Guam. All right.
I love that.
This is the
I
fourth
love that.
person who has sent me this video, and I feel like I just had to play it so that everybody gets it. But somebody needs to tell me. I did see somewhere on one of these ones that were forwarded that they're appearing or they're going to be at the Hilton to perform. Let me go back and find it. Maybe I'll call Andrew Gale.
Sounds
But
good.
in the meantime, let's go ahead and take this break. Yes, we'll come back on the other side. Be right back.
Guam is building the future, and the right conversations start here. SAME Guam Post invites you to the 2026 Industry Forum, happening July 28 through 30 at the Dusitani Resort. Join military, government, and industry leaders as they come together to discuss Guam's future in infrastructure, resilience, and regional growth. This premier event connects you to Guam's next generation of infrastructure. Registration is open. Visit GuamIndustryForum.com. The 2026 SAME Industry Forum, delivering Indo-Pacific readiness.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. Maine Senator Angus King says he was told by the Homeland Security Secretary a driver was shot and killed today by an ICE officer in Biddeford, Maine. Mark Wayne Mullen told King the agent opened fire after the man tried to use his vehicle as a weapon against agents who were pursuing him for deportation. Bystander video taken after the shooting showed agents trying to slow a white sedan that was driving in circles at an intersection in Biddeford. In Minnesota, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says they're getting help in investigating the deaths by government officers of Alex Patti and Renee Good.
Through the cooperation of our federal partners, we have obtained the hard drives of previously withheld evidence in the killings of Renee Good and Alex Patti and the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis. We have also obtained some of the physical evidence that was previously withheld including Renee Good's car.
The attorneys representing the federal government signed on to the motion. A judge ruled President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS over leaked tax returns was improper under the law,
ruling it was an exercise in self-dealing filed for an improper purpose. She referred one of his attorneys for discipline. The lawsuit laid the groundwork for a settlement that granted Trump immunity from tax audits and created the now abandoned anti-weaponization fund. In her scathing ruling, Judge Williams says this lawsuit was not brought to vindicate rights. It was brought to manipulate the judicial process to pursue benefits unavailable in litigation. Of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who's preparing for his confirmation hearing Wednesday, Williams writes that his apparent capacity to speak for both plaintiffs and defendants demonstrates there was only one party whose interests were being represented throughout the case. I'm Jennifer King.
President Trump says the U.S. will blockade Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and charge ships for safe passage. Stocks are lower in late-day trading. This is AP News. Ukraine is getting more help.
Ukraine and 9 other countries announced that they are forming a coalition to protect Europe from ballistic missiles. Zelensky was in Paris seeking help in developing measures against Russia's missile attacks that have pummeled Ukraine, as the rest of Europe remains wary of Moscow's wider ambitions on the continent. Zelensky and leaders of Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom say they recognize the growing threat posed by ballistic missiles, which are harder to stop than cruise missiles or drones. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
South African officials say they deported or repatriated more than 53,000 immigrants in a month in a crackdown on illegal migration. The crackdown coincided with a series of sometimes violent protests by anti-migrant groups demanding all immigrants in the country without documents return home. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all recent high school and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo! We'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
Hoffman, Guam, welcome back to your third look at your traffic report this morning, brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. You could schedule a test drive. All you got to do is give us a call at 478-AUTO, or if you'd like to look at our inventory, check out our website. That's at GuamAutospot.com. All right, friends, let's see what we got. This morning, we got some traffic getting around Jotnya this morning. That's going to be along Route 4. We've got strong northbound traffic. It stems from Day by Day Supermarket getting around Hanums and Ice, Buenos Market, as well as Mobile Jotnya gas station. So just a heads up over on that side. That's going to be along Chalin-Cantitasi. Again, Route 4, Jotnya, northbound traffic. Chalan-Pago intersection, we got some north as well as southbound traffic up and around Tendon into this morning. And for our friends hopping on to Route 10 in Manilao, it looks like traffic is moving nicely. A little delay coming around Mobile gas station in Manilao. So just a heads up over on that side, as well as our friends getting around the Santa Teresita Catholic Church. We got some north and southbound traffic. Friends hopping out of Route 15, getting around Paget, trying to get through Manilao. Just prepare yourselves for some wait times, guys. Route 16, it looks like traffic is moving nicely along Route 16. We don't have any delays there. However, for our friends in Tamuning as well as Upper Tumon, we got some really strong north as well as southbound traffic in Hagåtña this morning as well. That's going to be in both Hagåtña as well as Sinahaña. Again, Guam, it looks like traffic is beginning to pick up this morning. We just want to remind everyone, just be courteous, look out for one another, eyes on the roads, not on the phones. No texting and driving on the streets of Guam. Allow some braking distance. Let's not tailgate each other this morning. Give each other some breathing room. Remember, Guam, seatbelts are sexy. Let's get our seatbelts fastened and our kids in the proper booster-in car seats. This is your traffic report. We are moving forward with our friends at Guam Auto Spot. Again, Guam, just schedule a test drive at 478-AUTO or check out our inventory on our website. That is GuamAutospot.com.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger.
Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malig Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Hafaday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit GHRA.org for details.
For Guam talks, debates, and stays informed, Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
8 minutes now before 8 o'clock. I'm realizing that
we all wanted to ask you a question.
What's
Patty.
that? Oh.
All right. Can you tell us who won the fight with Conor McGregor yesterday?
That would be Max Holloway.
Oh, we got it this time. Okay.
And he's
and
he's kind of a local guy, right? He's
Hawaiian.
Hawaiian.
Yes.
Okay,
Hawaiian,
I knew
yes.
he was.
Okay, good job.
I saw his kid. His kid has that beach blonde hair.
Oh, man.
You see his kid? I think, or his nephew, or whoever it is.
He can hit those waves, Patty.
Well, okay. Well, now
Excellent
that
surfer.
is he? Because I saw him in Hawaii. They call that color ehu hair. So he had this ehu hair, and I thought, okay, his wife looks like the lady is that his wife looks like she is a local islander, right? And I'm like, and then I saw the kid, and I go, that's not a blonde kid. That's an ehu boy who's got sun bleached hair, right? Yeah. I didn't know that he was a surfer.
Oh yeah, excellent.
But then,
surfer.
and then the kid, you see what the kid was yelling after that? After the
Who's your daddy
yeah.
now? I watched that fight. I mean, it was about 60 seconds.
Who's your
but,
daddy now?
Who's your daddy now?
People were calling it karma, right? I mean, that's what everybody. As soon as that happened with McGregor, everybody was calling it karma.
Don't attack these parents. These kids will come at you.
Yeah, so true. So
Kids
true.
will come at you. Be like, "What'd you say about my mom? What? What? My mom? What?" They'll be like 2 feet tall. It's like, bro, you're at my knees first of all. Okay, you're at my knees, kid. It's
Yeah, calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down, little boy. All right, 6 minutes before 8. It's these little things that we see on people who are not from here or don't live here or something like that when they kind of open their eyes to the stuff. We're seeing a lot of folks that are here for the summer, right? I mean, my kids are here for the summer, and to see them watching
certain things that you don't really look for, or you're not looking at, like that feeling that you get when the sun comes up the next morning and you're driving around and everything looks so familiar, yet it's so foreign.
Okay.
And then you're constantly, you don't want to be the driver. You want to be the person in the passenger seat, because they're just looking at all the buildings and the roadways, and they're just soaking up all the things that they grew up with and where they are now. And so it wasn't a planned tour. It's just we were coming back from an errand that we were running, and we went a different route. And they were like, "Oh, where'd that Coast 360 building come from? Oh, where did that GU3 building come from on Camp Watkins Road?" Here was the one that cracked me up the most is, I need to go to McDonald's. I'm like, yeah, because McDonald's in Vegas is so much different. They're like, yeah, I need Portuguese sausage, eggs, and rice.
Ah.
I need the local breakfast with the Spam and the Portuguese sausage, because nowhere in a McDonald's can you get that in the States, especially the local breakfast with the Spam and so I guess Tia dropped me off from work this morning, and she ditched right into the McDonald's. And, went and got her. She said, I don't usually eat McDonald's, but when I do, this is the exception. Yay. And it's little things like, fast food restaurants. Rice is an option, right? Because when you're buying chili, when you're buying chili from Wendy's, is rice an option in the States?
Oh.
I don't know. I never tried.
I don't know about that part.
Yeah, anyway.
I don't know. We go to restaurant. Girl, first of all, if we're
This
in
is
the
so
U.S.
true.
of A, ain't nobody going to
No, you're right.
You know
No,
what
you're
I mean?
right.
Let's act like we're going to restaurants.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like, who wants to,
I have a list of places I need to be at.
Well, I'm gonna say that when we went when we're like, hey, you want to grab just something real quick, and we're gonna order it out. Hey, I'm on my way. Does anybody want McDonald's?
Yeah.
That's like our Wendy's. It's the menu that you know, so it's familiar. So you don't have to overthink. As opposed to, In-N-Out might be the same thing. But, one of those other places, you're like, I don't know, what do they have at Whataburger? I don't know what their menu looks like. So, these things are standard fare. Anyway, to get to the important stuff, the name of the young gentleman, he's the tallest in the Gin and Tonics. It's a group out of Harvard University. They are having a concert this evening at the Hilton Micronesia Room. It's at 6:30. There are tickets for sale on Eventbrite. The young man's name is Alex Gale. That's Andrew's son.
Great job, Alex.
Great job. He's very prominently displayed in this choral group, and they are on tour. And they're spending some time coming to Guam, which might have been a really cool thing for him to be able to show off to his friends. The old Guam spirit, and the Gales are a very local family. So I'm pretty sure that they're a very tight group. I'm pretty sure that they have pulled out all of the stops for this. No, his name is Alex. It's Alex. I got the name from his dad. Anyway, so that's what's happening tonight. Eventbrite. Wait, hang on a second. I just came from the Eventbrite. Let's see. They have on the flyer. You can, if you've ever tried to, when they get a QR code, you can go and tap on it, and then it'll take you to wherever you're going to go, where that QR code is going to take you, and then it will tell you how much it is.
Nice. Eventbrite. That's all we got to do.
Yeah,
Eventbrite
click on
you
basically take a photo of the link, just the whole thing. Tap on it, on the link. It'll take you straight to Eventbrite. There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Which is where I'm going. I'm just trying to help you all out to see how much the tickets are. Okay, overview: 6:30 until 8 tonight at the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa. It's an hour and 30 minutes. Nice. It shows $23.18. I don't know what the actual cost of the.
For some acapella, I'm down.
$23.18. Get tickets.
Yeah.
It must be the service charge. It must be $20 per person, and there's like a $3.18.
Oh, come on, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've spent more on other things. It's like, you know what? I've spent money on. I can get some tickets. I can do that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay.
So far, there's 156 people in total that are going to be there. Okay. So that I think is just a Gale
what
family.
What time is it starting? What time?
6:30 to 8. It's an hour and a half.
6:30 to 8.
Nice. That sounds like a great
Right
event
after
if you
my
want to
show.
be there. Andrew, who's a good friend of mine, asked me to share, so I am sharing.
I'm there.
Okay.
I'm going.
Hilton.
6:30. I'll be there right after my show. Do I wear this? I can't.
Yeah. Oh, you are fine.
This is it.
Absolutely.
What are they wearing?
They're all wearing tuxedos.
Yeah, I'm not doing
with
that,
tails.
but,
They're in tux and tails.
We're not doing that.
No, because they're a choral group and they're it's
Hilton.
Harvard.
I know.
I feel stupid already just talking about it.
Make sure we look appropriate.
You do look
I don't
appropriate.
wanna embarrass
It's
the
hard.
kids.
It's hard for you not
You
to.
know, I mean, come up and look sus, be like, there was a strange person talking to me. It's like, wow.
No,
Okay.
that sounds like a great event
6:30.
tonight. Right now, we got to get into that AP news. It's 8:00. KGUM FM and Deddy Do Guam.
I'm Ed Donahue. Maine Senator Angus King says he was told by the Homeland Security Secretary a driver was shot and killed today by an ICE officer in Biddeford, Maine. Mark Wayne Mullen told King the agent opened fire after the man tried to use his vehicle as a weapon against agents who were pursuing him for deportation. Bystander video taken after the shooting showed agents trying to slow a white sedan that was driving in circles at an intersection in Biddeford. In Minnesota, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says they're getting help in investigating the deaths by government officers of Alex Preddy and Renee Good.
Through the cooperation of our federal partners, we have obtained the hard drives of previously withheld evidence in the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy and the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis. We have also obtained some of the physical evidence that was previously withheld, including Renee Good's car.
The attorneys representing the federal government signed on to the motion. A judge ruled President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS over leaked tax returns was improper under the law,
ruling it was an exercise in self-dealing filed for an improper purpose. She referred one of his attorneys for discipline. The lawsuit laid the groundwork for a settlement that granted Trump immunity from tax audits and created the now abandoned anti-weaponization fund. In her scathing ruling, Judge Williams says this lawsuit was not brought to vindicate rights. It was brought to manipulate the judicial process to pursue benefits unavailable in litigation. Of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who's preparing for his confirmation hearing Wednesday, Williams writes that his apparent capacity to speak for both plaintiffs and defendants demonstrates there was only one party whose interests were being represented throughout the case. I'm Jennifer King.
President Trump says the U.S. will blockade Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and charge ships for safe passage. Stocks are lower in late-day trading. This is AP News. Ukraine is getting more help.
Ukraine and 9 other countries announced that they are forming a coalition to protect Europe from ballistic missiles. Zelensky was in Paris seeking help in developing measures against Russia's missile attacks that have pummeled Ukraine as the rest of Europe remains wary of Moscow's wider ambitions on the continent. Zelensky and leaders of Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom say they recognize the growing threat posed by ballistic missiles, which are harder to stop than cruise missiles or drones. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
South African officials say they deported or repatriated more than 53,000 immigrants in a month in a crackdown on illegal migration. The crackdown coincided with a series of sometimes violent protests by anti-migrant groups demanding all immigrants in the country without documents return home. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
You're listening to Mornings with Patti, where the conversation belongs to everyone.
Half a day, Guam. This is Paul Stanko with your National Weather Service. There will be fewer showers today at the lower end of scattered instead of the upper end. Scattered showers will continue through Saturday, then showers will be isolated. Southwest winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour will continue all week. Seas will be 6 to 8 feet through Wednesday, then increase to 7 to 9 feet. There will be a moderate risk of rip currents through Wednesday along south and west facing reefs, which could become high Thursday. A tropical disturbance to our west is a feature we will have to watch. The latest weather information is always available at www.weather.gov.
road to Adelup is here, and this time we spoke with Democrat candidates, Senator Toriz Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez. Here is your opportunity to hear how they plan to govern Guam. Watch the conversation on Wave 105's YouTube channel, dated May 28th. This is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Alrighty, Guam, half a day, everyone. Good morning and welcome back. It's 4 minutes after 8 o'clock here on the Wave 105 FM. This will be your last look at this morning's traffic report. It's brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. You can schedule a test drive. All you got to do is give us a call at 478-AUTO, or if you'd like to take a look at our inventory, check out our website if you go to GuamAutospot.com. All right, friends, let's see what we got. Route 1, we got some traffic flowing into the Anderson Air Force Base. That's going to be at the main gate this morning. Our Lady of Litness Catholic Church, some north and southbound there. Traffic getting out of Matugwa this morning. We're coming around Paris Acres, East Sangsung Road, Machechi Road, as well as Bella Road. It looks like we got some couple of hot pockets there. And for our friends getting around, we are looking at the Dedito Sports Complex. We got some north and southbound over on that side. Hamburger Road is also beginning to pick up, so just prepare yourselves for that. St. John's intersection, Kmart intersection, a Village of Donkey intersection, as well as the ITC. So just be aware. Be alert. Let's all just be cautious this morning. Eyes on the roads, not on the phones. There's no texting and driving on the streets of Guam. Ensure that your seatbelts are fastened. And remember, Guam, seatbelts are sexy. Let's allow some braking distance. Try not to tailgate each other this morning. Give each other some breathing room. And we should all be able to have ourselves a safe Tuesday morning. This is your traffic report, and it's all being brought to you again by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive at 478-AUTO or look at our inventory on our website if you go to GuamAutospot.com.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all Region High School and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo, we'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
Close your eyes and open your senses. Introducing the all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5. Thoughtfully redesigned with a refined interior, larger 15.6-inch touchscreen display, advanced connectivity, and Mazda's signature driving experience. Enjoy elevated comfort, intuitive technology, and craftsmanship designed around you. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5 Sport is available from $29,995 or just $198 per paycheck. Get pre-approved instantly at triplejguam.com.
This election, it isn't just about who leads Guam, it's about the future we choose together.
Join the University of Guam College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences and the Free Association Task Force for Beyond the Status Quo, the gubernatorial debate, Wednesday, July 15 from 6 to 8 p.m. at the UOG Class Lecture Hall. Here the candidates discuss the issues that matter most, compare their visions for Guam, and if you can't make it in person, watch live on YouTube or listen on Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Beyond the Status Quo. Hear their vision, make your choice.
To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time spent building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of kids lose access to the food they count on during the school year. As a neighbor-led network, Feeding America is deeply rooted in every community, ensuring summer meals continue nourishing growth and potential. Your support puts healthy food within reach, fueling the future for kids and their families. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.
As parents, we have a million things running through our minds. Playdates, checkups, groceries, laundry, diapers, work, carpool schedules, picture day, swim team, did we mention diapers, birthday parties, meal prep, lost permission slips, dentist appointments, and the dog that still needs to be walked. So it's easy to make a mistake. Oh, I forgot birthday candles. Sit tight, hon, I'll be right back. We say we'd never put our kids in danger by leaving them in the car alone. Oh, wait, since when are candles not on the baking aisle? But never happens. And temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you, and every time you park the car, stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The road to Adelude continues. This time, we sit down with Republican candidates. Vice Speaker Tony Atta and E.J. Calvo. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 5th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a canine companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia. We quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
My name is Erica. My son, Kason, is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
We're heading out to the pasture today to clear the name of an innocent farm animal framed for a historic catastrophe. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for July 14th.
Cow Appreciation Day is usually dedicated to recognizing the gentle, hardworking livestock that provide our global communities with vital dairy and agriculture. But for over a century, school textbooks singled out one specific animal as a city-destroying villain. We were all taught that a milk cow owned by Catherine O'Leary kicked over a lantern, sparking the devastating Great Chicago Fire of 1871. However, decades after the ashes settled, a local reporter confessed that the whole thing was a total hoax. He fabricated the narrative simply to score a sensational front-page headline during an otherwise slow news cycle. It turns out that what generations of Americans believed was a major lesson in barnyard safety was actually just a 19th century equivalent of clickbait.
It kind of amazes me that in 1871 they were able to get the kind of traction with a hoax that we can today with the internet.
And I'm glad that we can clear the cow's name now as well. I mean, because the descendants of the cow are probably really relieved that
sure they are.
The cow didn't actually cause the fire.
Right?
Yeah.
We're also celebrating National Mac and Cheese Day and National Tape Measure Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Registering a domain name on the web? You should know about Pairnick. Pairnick offers .com names at a great price with quality service you expect. Because Pairnick is powered by internet leader Pair Networks. Whether you need a domain name for business or personal use, Pairnick is your best choice. Remember Pairnick when you need a domain name. That's PAIRNIC.com. Pairnick.
Feeling hot, summer smoke alarm. Mirror says, woo, gonna do some harm. I'm the one, yeah, I bring the charm. Step aside, let a real one through. Thunder in my walk, lightning in my shoes. Just to watch, baby, I'm the view.
105.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Keep that good vibe going, right here on Mornings with Patti.
Watch me do it like, I do it like, I do it like, yeah. Watch me do it like, I do it like, I do it like.
You can wear the headphones if you want. I meant if you're watching us on, well, if you're not watching us on YouTube, what are you doing exactly? You want me to turn something down? They're headphones. Okay. Let's go around the room. Can you hear? Nothing at all. Let me see where you are. Okay. Viv, you're here. Can you hear me? Can you hear anything here? How about that? You can hear that. And then, you are right here. How's that? Better? Yeah. There. I don't want to blow your ears out. Are you good? Okay. Well, I feel like I'm walking the halls of my alma mater here with two different age groups, but definitely we all were walking the same halls about the same time.
Yes.
Graduates of the Academy of Our Lady, but that's not what the story is. Viv is a class of 1972. Yeah. Well done. Yeah. And Chantal Wong is a class of 76. 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary.
Your reunion. And then, of course, I'm with 77, so I like being the baby in the room. Thanks, guys, for coming. Well, it's nice to have you here. Viv, you're a surprise escort for Chantal, so I'm glad that
I'm
you're
her driver.
Here. Oh,
she's the driver. Yes.
That's a good use of the retirees. Good use. Well, Chantal, I was saying that you were here. That you do come to Guam, not often as you'd like, I'm sure, but this particular time, I said part of it was the fact that you're celebrating the 50th anniversary of your graduation. Typhoon Pamela was. Typhoon Pamela was a thing back then when you graduated.
I think, I don't know how many weeks or months we didn't have water. Water had to be trucked in from like a tanker, and then electricity was gone for 3 months.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys even have a graduation ceremony?
We did have a graduation. I lived in Alupan Cove.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was the only one that had a generator.
Oh.
And so all the girls
You were
came
the cleanest
over.
girl.
Well, the girls came over to iron their gowns
Oh.
and curl their hairs. And,
Yeah.
And so we made a big party of it.
Yeah.
But we did graduate, walked down the aisle with the FD.
Back in the day, there was tandem like that. Yeah.
We walked down the aisle together, right?
Yeah. Then they figured out that wasn't a good idea later on in the church.
In the church.
Not a good idea. Well, and now you're back 50 years after the graduation. You've hooked up with your friends, all of the girls. They're all in. I saw them, I think in February when they did the tea party, and they were honored that day. And so I saw all your classmates. They're great. They all look great.
Yeah, a whole bunch of us have come from state. We call them the Academy Stateside Girls.
Yeah, sure.
76 Stateside Girls. So we had our first Mass at St. Francis with Felix, Father Felix Leon Guerrero. He's our batch, 76 as well. So that was very nice on Sunday.
Right.
And then festivities start on Thursday.
Oh, okay. You guys aren't done. I thought you'd be done by now. Making way for us. We're already planning ours. So, well, I think that one of the bigger things about your life, other than the 50th, graduation reunion, is I was saying that Chantal, which is almost a fact that I forgot. I can't believe I did, but she was the ambassador of the United States to the Philippines during the last of the Biden administration.
Not to the Philippines, to the Asian Development Bank.
Development Bank. Sorry.
There was another
Same thing.
ambassador.
There was another ambassador. I do know that, absolutely. Yes. And you were in the studio a few years ago, and we talked about what exactly does that mean. Yeah. And it's a fascinating story about what this development bank does for the region and for compromised countries, where there is assistance to build these island states like you have.
Yeah, so as I mentioned previously, it's 68 member countries, but 14 of them are here in the Pacific Islands. So I think when I came, it was on the way to visit the three FAS countries, RMI, FSM, and Palau. And they are part of what we call fragile and conflict states. And we put aside grant money for those countries, including Myanmar and Afghanistan. But these countries, and by the way, while I was there, the 3 years I was there, we were able to increase that grant funding by a historic amount. It's also because of the challenges, particular challenges of these island countries with climate change. Many countries, even at 5 degrees Celsius, I always say that, will disappear. Many of the land spaces, particularly atoll countries. So I've been able to visit many and travel to Ibai, at RMI, Chuk, where I actually fractured my wrist while I was there, and I think I landed in Guam with this bulge on my hand, and was glad that the governor had police escort, and I said, I think I need to go to the hospital right now.
Straight away, yeah. Wow.
And so Guam sold me up at Guam Memorial.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing about that is that it was also during a time where this federal government was paying a lot of attention to these countries that are the least among us, especially in this region.
Yeah.
The point has to be made that when you're talking about climate change, that these are areas, atolls, like you say, low-lying. It takes a typhoon, or increased surf, higher surf, to wipe out an entire population.
Yeah.
So then where do they go? They move up.
There's not really a lot of upland
for
them to move to. I mean, RMI in particular, it's an atoll country. We were in Ibai, and the last time I was there, actually, I was head of delegation for President Biden to the inauguration of the president of RMI. And while we were there in Majuro, we heard about this freak wave that came along, and there was a video, very funny video. I mean, funny as you think about it, but it's not in real life. The wave came into a bar, and the only thing standing after that was a guy with a beer bottle.
Yeah.
But everything was devastated, and so
like a rogue wave.
It's a rogue wave, yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's the kind of damage, and they live in these areas, and so when you think about how does that apply to people like us, is they migrate here. And so when you talk about folks who have come from these states and these island states, you see what kind of taxing they put on the system that the federal government still does not recognize they owe us so much money in compact impact. So if you're wondering, where does this all lead back to?
Right.
Sometimes it leads here.
The compact impact, I think when we did the negotiations of the compact, and I wasn't quite involved in that, of course it was the U.S. State Department that was, we increased the compact dollars to the countries in a significant way, understanding that these are going to be the largest income for them.
Right.
But you're right, the compact impact to both Guam and Hawaii were not substantially increased. And so there is a particular challenge for those, particularly on your education system, on your public health systems. It's a huge impact.
It's a huge impact that still has yet to be resolved. It's always a constant looking chronically. But in this administration, it becomes much harder because we are dealing with a president. We have to get political for a second because it all does come down to that. You know, it was these island states and other charitable organizations that feed into the into the development of these places that have all gone away. Just from the top, just USAID, just gone.
Yeah, disappeared.
So there's this language now where we are you concerned? Is this bank concerned that these monies are not available?
Absolutely. And there's no way to replace that amount of money. Even like we talked about going through charity and whatnot, philanthropy. There's no way to replace all that, and so the people do suffer. I would say. I think ADB tries very hard to step up. As I said, we've increased that grant funding window by a significant amount, but yet that's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes, particularly the FAS countries, because they have a compact, the bank doesn't see that as that they have another source of income.
They don't see it?
They do see it.
Oh, they do see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in that way, then they cut the funding down to...
Yeah, they don't get as much, I
right,
guess.
Right,
Yeah.
Darn. So there's that.
But I think, both three countries are very adept at working with the ADB now. And we have significant representation for them, both on the board, but also the people that work there are key members of the society from those countries that know how to deal with the ADB.
Yeah, so you at the end of the administration, you offered your courtesy resignation, which is the transition that must be made, and then you go off into the abyss, which is for you travel and adventure and all of the things. So you haven't really missed a step as far as activity goes, right?
And I sit on 3 boards.
Yeah, okay.
So I think we've established that I was the first out lesbian U.S. To reach the role of U.S. ambassador,
Right.
rank of U.S. ambassador. So all of a sudden, I became a professional gay. So I sit on 2, and I've never been a gay activist before.
Right.
And so now I sit on 2 organizations that are looking at, one in particular is about economic empowerment for LGBTQ in the global South. Particularly, and then the other is also doing a lot of assistance to LGBTQ communities in poor countries.
It feels like the work that you're doing for this in America is probably harder than anywhere because the rules have changed in midstream.
Absolutely, it was really the DEI conversations. You have to erase everything that's DEI. Certainly on the outright international board that I sit on, it was a large recipient of USAID money. We on grant for the USAID, and that money disappeared. But thank God the community is now stepping up, and we raised money on our own.
That's just from private contributions?
Private contributions, from philanthropy, from, we're trying to get Melinda Gates or those
the big money?
The big money,
Yeah.
or Mackenzie Scott to try to come up with other sources of money.
Because those 2 are just giving it away. I mean, they're just giving it away. They had terrible marriages, and now they're just giving it away.
They're giving it away. That's great.
Yeah,
right?
it's fantastic.
But the question is how they don't have any way for you to figure out how how it's being given.
What's the vehicle? How am I going to get in the door?
All of a sudden, it appears. So part of it is making sure that we tell our story,
make the case,
and good work that we do on the ground. So that's some of the things I'm working on. The other is I'm very excited is I'm on the Apple the App Foundation.
What's that?
The Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
There's a Filipino
American
on
that's
there.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Apple the App.
Yeah,
He
okay.
has a foundation.
Remember we had this conversation, Dice? No, okay, yeah. And he actually goes to the Philippines.
He's
quite a
always in
bit.
the Philippines. Yeah.
I
And
remember
so,
this.
He's my bestie.
Okay.
We found out that we're born on the same day.
Oh.
50 years apart.
Okay.
And we've
There's
bonded very well. And he's he sought me out when I was at the ADB, because he was giving money one school at a time, one child at a time. He wanted to scale, and he said, "Why not go to the ADB and see if we could, scale his giving and impact." And so I got him an MOU with the ADB, and when Secretary Raimondo was visiting the Philippines, I got him a seat to meet with all the CEOs that were coming, the U.S. CEOs that were coming to invest in the government. And from there, now he used to be a farmer. I don't know if you know his story. It's a very interesting story. He was 14 years old. And he has eye condition. He's legally blind because he wears those big glasses. Not for fashion, by the way, but because he's legally blind. His mother sent him to the U.S., into L.A., to get a check on his eyes. And the doctors basically said, "Look, you're 14. We can't help you. It's too late. If you had come before 10, we could have helped you." So out of that, he got adopted by a white couple in L.A. Turns out that the father figure is the best friend of the uncle of Will.i.am.
Okay.
And they went to high school together.
It just sometimes just takes that, right?
Yeah.
It's something that
So,
was he talented in that way already, musically?
He was like, so the two of them got to be best friends, and Will says, "What do you do in the Philippines?" He says, "Well, I tend to the buffalo and I breakdance." He goes, "So show me some of that breakdance move." So he's like showing him. He's, "Do you rap?" He says, "Well, my mother told me that if I want to learn English in the U.S., you have to read the dictionary."
Smart.
So he's like rapping, and Will says, "What are you rapping?" He says, "That's the dictionary."
Nice.
So that's how they got together, and it's been 30 years.
Wow.
Right? The Black Eyed Peas still performs, and they still tour. So they were in Manila recently, and he came to the ADB, and I became the most popular.
I bet you did.
Person, everybody, the chefs, the security guards, everybody thinks that
you were
I'm
like the rock
greatest.
star.
Yeah, I'm the rock star because I brought Apple the App.
That's so cool.
We had a big concert, and the whole building was erupted in
There's something to be said about the Philippines and the rising stars that come from the most unlikely places you would think, because they look so impoverished, but they sing like Beyonce, right? And they're discovered all the time. And it's just, I don't know if there's enough room in the market in America or these places, but everybody, I've never seen a country that can produce so many great singers or entertainers.
Beautiful singers, and I'm always ashamed to say, put a mic to my no, you sing.
No, I'm a great choir. Sister Marion, Marion, who's always been musically our guru in the I always say that I'm great in choir, and she's like kinda. I'm like I'm like with everybody else, but your story also, and I kind of want to go back there, because your story, I knew you in high school, one obviously a year before I graduated, but you become close either way with others upperclassmen, and you just, that's how it works. That was our campus. But I remember, having been, I thought that you were one of the smartest people I knew.
Was it because of my Coke bottle glasses?
Because your Coke bottle glasses were the ones that did it. But you were also very fearless, and you also had like this umph in you. And Chantal wasn't like being pursued by the boys like I wasn't. We weren't part of the. We were part of the crew, but we were not pursued by the FD boys. We weren't the most popular girls in the class for that particular reason. And in an all-girls school, some of that's just a little bit of a status thing. But you didn't. That's not how you gained your status at all. And as it's evidenced by the fact that your 76 class, you guys are all very, very tight. But you had this remarkable beginning that was humble and very trying, as you explained, and it's highly emotional. How you came to be this girl that came to Guam and didn't know anything, and was even told you're never going to go to school. Could you know this story? And I just thought it was so enlightening for a number of reasons, obviously, that you can be something. But I think that your particular story, where it was born of, I think, a bit of abuse on your family's part. Would you mind talking about those origins?
Yes. So as I reflect back, I'm actually working on my memoir, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And
this is one chapter then.
This is definitely one chapter. The Guam chapter is very significant in my life. And, I just spent yesterday, we were at the SAME in University of Guam. I met with the SAME because they were the ones that gave me a scholarship to be able to go to college. I left China when I was 6 years old at the bottom of a boat with my grandmother. Hiding on the battle. Yeah,
hiding
right next to the kitchen, I think, because I could remember if I closed my eyes the pungent odor that was coming out of the hall. And so I lived with my aunt and uncle. My aunt passed away between my junior and my senior year in high school here. And my uncle basically said, "You're not my responsibility after high school. You can stay for senior year, but you're not,
his responsibility. He's not going to take care of your finances or anything."
So I had to find my own way. And luckily, I found the Society of American Military Engineers. They had a scholarship. And so I sought BJ out, BJ Cruz. At the time, as I mentioned yesterday, his ink barely dry on his law degree.
Yeah.
He was aide-de-camp to Governor Ricky Berdalio at the time.
How did you become involved? Were you like summer hire at the legislature or something?
No. So this is very interesting. It was the year of the bicentennial,
Yeah.
1976. And every year, every high school takes turn. I don't think they do it nowadays, I heard. They take turn planning the youth week.
That was always so much fun.
Yeah. And the year that 1976 was Academy's year, and I was student council president. And so I was in charge of planning for the whole island. And that's how I got to meet the governor and BJ at the time and got to know him. And I figured out that a letter from the governor of Guam to the Society of American Military Engineers would get me a scholarship. And sure enough, it did. And BJ helped me with that. Got a letter, got the governor to sign it, and off I went to the University of Hawaii. And what a lucky break that was, right? And then I also was wondering, because it was 1 year, and somehow I turned it into 4 years. And yesterday they told me, "Oh yeah, if you kept up your grades and you kept applying, you were able to, continue to get those
the scholarship money."
The scholarship money, but that only covered the tuition, so I had to work,
hustle for
other things for living. But what it taught me, I mean, certainly we talked about that, Viv, about the nuns and what they taught us, about curiosity, about finding solutions to things, how to live. All of that, was very seminal for me. The nuns, Sarge and Sister Angela. And I mentioned to Viv that when I was going through confirmation in the U.S. Senate to be ambassador, both Sarge and Sister Angela came up with a beautiful letter about my faith journey. 'Cause I'm the only Catholic in my family. And they talked about, it was a concern that I may not get through confirmation, and that a letter from the nuns would be holier.
That was divine guidance or intervention right there.
Divine guidance,
Yeah.
They were very clear. And then in the article, what I learned, and I mentioned that story to Viv as well last night, that Chantal is a very unusual name.
Mhm.
And that the name was because when I came out from China, when I was 6 years old, I was a very naughty kid. And they said, well, we got to send her off to boarding school because we need to contain her.
Mhm.
So I would go off to boarding school in Macau. And it was a Catholic Notre Dame nuns, Franciscan priests. And they said, what's your name? Let's register you. Well, in those days, I think Irene was very popular. So I said, Irene Yok Meng Wong. Oh, no. There's like 5 other Irenes. We cannot have another Irene in our midst.
way.
How about Chantal?
No kidding.
Yeah, so, okay.
Okay.
How do you spell that? Chantal, I got her name. She just graduated, by the way. It was a K to 12. So you can have her name, you can have her bed, you can have her number that's sewn to your clothes because it's a common laundry. So it was a 4-hour boat ride from Hong Kong to Macau. Now there's a bridge. And I spent those 4 hours spelling Chantal. It was the first Western word.
How
I
old
ever
were you?
learned.
6?
6. I was 6 years old. So
you've been an
so
overachiever since the
in
beginning.
In the letter, in the article that the nuns wrote, it was very interesting. They revealed what my patron saint, Saint Francis Saint Francis Jane de Chantal, is the
Oh.
patron saint of the forgotten people.
Oh, wow.
And so I was going off to work with the vulnerable people and the forgotten people, and that was my.
See, the divine plan
The
has
divine
been
plan.
successful. I love that. She keeps referring to Viv. Viv Espaldon Wolf is in the studio with us. I was like, what's the connection between other than is it rant? What is this? Does it have anything to do with same, or is it what's the connection? Other than you've probably known each other for all your lives.
It's
but
that
yeah, about
store
50.
on Marine Drive.
What?
They used to have a store called Lord and Lady.
Yes.
Yes, right?
Okay.
Along Marine East Marine Drive.
That was owned by your family.
That was our family.
You were working in that store.
I was
as a
working
young
there.
kid.
When I first came to Guam, I didn't go to school for 2 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I was working there, but that's how.
And so my mom loves jewelry, and we would go there, new store and all that. And there was this
Come into the microphone a little bit. Yeah.
There was this young person who was actually doing the selling and talking and educating my mom and me about the different types of whatever she was selling, and it's all jewelry. And so it was really good. My mom loved being there and hearing all this thing about this is a this and this is a that. And afterwards I would say, Mom, we're the same age. How is she already managing and selling in a store?
Yeah.
I mean, what did she do that she got to do this, and why do I have to go to school? And and we didn't know. We didn't know why she was there. And then 72, graduated, went off to college, and then you went into the academy.
I started the academy.
Yeah, and so we've known each other since 1970.
Since you were a child.
Since she was a child. I mean, since she was a
wow.
teenager,
Yeah, teenager.
working, and I was like a little slightly jealous, like how come she gets to be out there doing stuff?
Yeah,
and I
I have to go to
I have to
college.
go to school.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah, that's
Life
not
is
fair.
not fair.
No, and like I said, we first came to Guam. We came from Okinawa. At the time, it was the Vietnam War. The
Oh, yeah.
B-52s were doing their bombing missions out of Okinawa, and we had to leave because Japan recognized China, and the island Okinawa was reverted back to Japan.
Yeah.
And those of us that had no papers that escaped from China, they said you have to carry red Chinese passports, and we said no, we escaped from that country. So we decided to follow the B-52s to Guam, and that's how we ended up here. But we were doing business with the American military wives. The soldiers that were in combat were allowed a certain amount of knickknacks they could buy from China and take back to the U.S., like a limitation. And so that's where the wives came in, the military wives. They were buying.
That's an amazing
all that.
story.
So we came to Guam, follow the B-52s and still doing business with the military wives. And my uncle said, I need help with the business, and so you can't go to school. So I didn't go to school for 2 years. So I have a batch that I went to school with in Okinawa that's class of 74.
Yeah.
That I celebrated 50th reunion
2 years
with
ago.
2 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm celebrating 50th reunion
You're
again.
just a girl for all seasons. I like that. I like
just
that.
keep celebrating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's-
and you know what's great is that you have come this way and then back to still continue to thank the ladies from SAME. I had them in the studio with me. I had one actually person in the studio with me a couple of months ago where we were talking about military engineering and all that. But it was really, and when you said SAME, I went, wait a minute. So I didn't realize that that's how your education was financed at the time. So when you graduated from college, at what point did you find yourself in federal government, or had there always been an opportunity for you right out of college?
No, right out of college, I was in civil and structural at the University of Hawaii. So I got a job with Boeing, designing airplanes. At the time, they were...
Of course. What else do you do? Yeah.
So matter of fact, the last thing I designed was like a MacGyver, my refrigerator door. But go ahead with the Boeing.
They were starting the design of the 757 and the 767 in Everett. So it was like a very new thing, and the computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing was going on. And so I went up to Everett and helped with that design, particularly the wing spans and the tubing that were using to control the wings. And then I discovered that it was like really dark. Every day you go to Seattle is dark,
gloomy,
and you go into the office because these are green screens with little green, black screens with little green things going around in those days. It was dark, and you have to look at these things, and then you get off work and it's dark again. I can't handle this. So I bought me a 68 Mustang and packed all my things and moved to San Francisco. Drove, flower girl. I was really into
nice.
that.
You were in it.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah,
What'd you do with your bra is a question. Hung it from the windshield. Yeah. So
I
you
went
moved to San
and
Francisco.
got a job with Bechdel. Instead of designing tiny little pipes, I was doing refineries with big pipes. And then I decided I wanted to go back to school. And so I went to Berkeley. I did a master's degree in water and wastewater.
This part I remember. You were heavily into sewer and wastewater
sewage
systems,
yeah,
right?
That's me, sewage.
Yeah.
Went and then worked for the city and county of San Francisco for many years in the sewage treatment plant. And then I decided that I needed to go because there was a lot of regulations we had to.
Enough of this crap. I'm moving on.
I gotta
go higher than this.
Yeah.
Higher crap. I said I need to go to Washington to fix Washington. I figured there's something wrong in Washington. So I figure as a sewage engineer, I cannot just go directly. Who are you to come in? And so I went to the Kennedy School. Again, got a degree in public administration, learning all the ropes. I was very lucky to get take a course called Federal Budget and Macroeconomic Policy from a woman named Alice Rivlin, Dr. Alice Rivlin. She's, very well regarded in Washington. She defined what poverty is under the Johnson administration. She was the first Congressional Budget Office director.
Oh, wow.
I was like amazing that she would come and teach at the Kennedy School. So we were all like hanging on her every word. And my roommate said, why don't we invite her over for dinner? Because she was living in the dorms next to us. I said, yeah. So I'm a very good cook, I have to say.
Yeah.
I proved that last night, right?
I
did.
would never have known.
Yeah.
Proof it.
She's a chef.
Yeah. Okay.
Or a cook.
So we over soup and dumplings. She came over, and from there on, she became my mentor for the next 30 years in Washington. She was such an important figure in Washington politics that every letter she wrote, every phone call she made, it would make it to the very top of the pile, and I would get jobs, and from there, I spent 20 years in the federal government. Because of her, I moved up. At one point, I was her chief of staff. She became the White House budget director. During the Clinton, Gore, Newt Gingrich, Kasich budget battles where we shut down government. Now we're shutting them down all the time. But in those days, it was very rare. And I was in the Oval Office. I was in the, inside the sanctums of the White House because
so
of
you
her.
were already establishing your own credibility through that network of people. So it wasn't unusual that you would be a carryover into another Democrat administration.
Well, I served three.
Yeah.
I did Clinton, Obama, and Biden. And then during the Bush years, I was career. I kind of buried in because of my skills. I had, what I learned from Alice was federal budget skills, and that carried me to everywhere.
Yeah.
I became the budget director at NASA. People were like, wow. But it was because I had budget skills.
Yeah. The skills know no politics.
That's right.
Right.
And that's what she told me, because when I was first come to Washington, it was the Bush administration, and I said, how can I go work I was in environmental policy for an administration that would cut the very funding that I wanted to go and help restore. And she said, those skills, exactly what you just said, those skills will last you through any administration. And sure enough, it did. And my whole career was built on federal budget, and I became an expert. I went to Treasury, I was in Interior, I was in, EPA. All of those agencies were because of my budgetary skills.
Wow.
Not because of anything else.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, to be at the pinnacle, right? And then now you still got a lot going on. It's not like you have stopped to do anything, although you're retired from federal service now.
Again.
Okay. Well, I mean, but what I like is that there is still opportunity for this kind of expertise, despite how they think about people who are older, especially women that should be retired at this age. It seems like you're not ready to do any of that.
Well, I think it's because I feel like I have 10 more years of this brain still functioning well, and physically, hopefully I'm still fit, that I still can contribute.
Yeah.
And I do want to contribute. And so I'm finding opportunities, and there are many. Everybody is asking for help.
Yeah, I bet.
So like I said, I'm doing a lot of work in the LGBTQ community, particularly the vulnerable. The 3 years that I spent at the ADB, every country I go to, because of the role that I play, in the world stage now, I find it my responsibility to give back to that community. That's the role.
Well, in some of these countries that we're talking about, they're very conservative countries and very religious. So there's always going to be a challenge to assert the belief.
Right? So I try to meet the community, and I bring ADB staff along. And sometimes we meet out in the open, sometimes in a warehouse, sometimes in the dark of night, where they would be afraid, or some of them just coming out of jail. When I was in Georgia, Tbilisi, they're just coming from jail to meet with me. So it's more to make sure I see them, I hear them. Bringing others along to make sure that they can understand. If you say you're going to have to consult with this group of community, that they can't say, we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But here they are. You can.
There's such right now. I have to do this before we have to go, because of you've been very engaged politically in the Democratic Party. You've campaigned, you've walked streets, and you've done a lot of heavy lifting for
knocking on doors.
Georgia was a big stumping ground for you. Now we're facing off with a president who wants to eliminate many of us, even those who can't vote for president, many of us from showing up at the polls. And it doesn't matter the gender, and it certainly doesn't matter the color, but we're all suspect voters at this point. And so now we've got this SAVE Act, which will be devastating for the electorate. And so does it feel like you've got room to take on some of these issues in a climate where someone like you would be considered too outspoken, too non-right, definitely too not Republican. But is there a place still in this country for the activism that you may not want to declare as an identity, but the work?
Well, absolutely. I right now I'm taking a break. I'm spending more time in the Philippines than I am in Washington. But no, I think it's really what I've been doing over the last few decades is to ensure the voice of the AAPI community are heard. And so it is organizing, it is getting them out to vote, it is helping them identify that they are going to be voices that needs to be heard. So you're right, Georgia. I've been to Georgia 3 times over the last since 2018, when Ossoff ran for Congress. Actually, before he ran for Senate, for the House side, and we were organizing AAPI communities, and what was incredible success was that during the time when Trump won the first time and then Biden win the second time.
Questionable, but go ahead.
Yes, questionable by some.
Yeah,
but the AAPI vote increased by 90% in Georgia.
Wow. Yeah.
Because the demographics have changed.
Yeah.
You know, our voices are now the margin of victory. And so it's really getting our communities to recognize that, to come out, to register to vote, to vote, to get their voices heard. So yes, I continue to I mean, Georgia's one place that I know very well now.
Yeah.
I've been there 3 times. The second time was to flip the Senate, and the third time was to help Kamala, but we didn't get there. But it is a electorate that I understand and can probably go back and do more work.
Some influence. And then before we go, I wanted to get to Viv because
dear.
I know, yeah. Well, Viv, you know, a lot of people know her husband, Pat Wolf, and he's been very instrumental in our community over just really understanding the kind of society that we live in.
Yeah.
And then taking some of the best of our Chamorro spirits or the island spirit and attaching it to how we live our daily lives. And that's always a great contribution through Inafa Maulik. And I know that he's been, you know, obviously, but not that you've been in the wings at all. Have you retired from the government?
I did
She was a
retire.
school teacher.
I was
Yeah.
a teacher for
Yeah.
43 years.
Wow.
And I know, 43, right?
Wow.
It's
Wow.
like, I'm really not that old, but
Yeah,
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 I am.
yeah,
I'm
but I worked
older than her.
43, yeah.
I did graduate before her. Okay, but yeah, I've been teaching. A lot of my work was in the area of gifted students, students with exceptional abilities. I've done a lot of work with the special ed students too, and getting together and finding commonalities of kids just needing care and just needing someone to kind of pull them along and just kind of encourage them. What do you think? And that their voice is legitimate. What you're saying, what you want to do, your ideas, those are pretty good. But they're way out here, but they're pretty good. I mean, you know.
Yeah, and again, we live in a climate where we're scrambling for funding, where these special areas are
Right.
at risk of just simply going away. I never thought that I would live under a government that thought that that was ever going to be okay just by thought.
Just
like,
by thought.
Just by thought. Like, let's cut this, and why not do that for GATE or for special ed?
And speaking of cut,
Yeah.
Guam used to be the cutting edge of a gifted education in the United States.
Wow.
We
I
had
didn't know
one
that.
of the very first preschool programs where you found kids who were just exceptional at the very young age and are able to do things. We were one of the very first elementary school gifted, and there used to be Kids Eye on Guam where the kids did the whole newscasts. They would go out into the community, do that, and then they set up the whole studio and they would do
Wow.
things.
Wow.
That was under the leadership of Terry Knapp, and it was so amazing what we did on Guam.
Do you think that we are do you think that we have abandoned that or not made it so much of a priority that we're recognizing the identity of these children when they're younger, or have we escaped, or have they escaped the system through preschool? I mean,
it's cyclical. It will come back, and
Yeah.
just like all the things that she's talking about, it will come back, and there will be new people coming up who will say, you know what? What if we, you
Yeah.
know, and then, so I think it will come back. Right now, it's kind of at a lull. And I would like to see more. I mean, in fact, I was talking with Mark Mendiola from UOG yesterday, and he was saying, you know, what if we did an interactive children's museum? What if we did? And I thought, oh
my God.
we thought of that back in the 70s. Wow. And we were so focused on other things, it didn't get done because we didn't have a space. I said, okay, Mark, how many square feet do you think we'll need? How many, you know?
Oh, wow.
And we just started back and forth. And I thought, ooh, that's kind of cool. You know, but okay, we're gonna hold on that right now. Right now, we retired and we're kind of, you know,
sure,
yeah.
But the best ideas are there.
The ideas
right.
there,
And that's always good to know.
And he was saying, what if we did it from a cultural perspective, so that when tourists come in, there's a thing for their kids to come to where they're learning all the, not just the kids, but the
Right,
adults
sure.
too, cultural things about Guam and the people, the indigenous, and the ones who have come in, and I'm one of the ones who have come in, you know, and to see what a valuable and electric and wonderful place Guam is, and it's like no other in the world, you know, and so we were kind of, and it's like, oh, it's time to go.
I know.
Oh,
Those
well.
are the ones you have to continuing the conversation.
It was very, very interesting.
Well, let me
talking to him.
know. I mean, I think we have each other's numbers. If not, we'll get them. But let me know if it takes that next step. I'd be happy
Oh,
to talk
very
about
nice,
it.
very
Yeah,
nice.
it's always good to do good things.
My people will
coming.
call your people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be available. Chantal, it's always good to see you, my
Always
friend.
good
It's
to
always
see you.
great to. You like to feel? Are you now permanently sort of stationed in that
More
area?
so than the U.S. at
Yeah,
the moment, because
yeah.
I just
At the moment.
I just have a difficulty being in Washington at the
I'm
moment.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Well, you know, the life is great out here. You know that better than anybody.
Yes,
that great opportunities still are to be had here on Guam for youngsters, and it's over the years it's been really awesome to see how those of us who come from that older sect, we are not our parents.
No.
You know, my mother was dead by the time she turned 67. I'm going to be 67 this month. So, you know what I mean?
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. But the longevity, you know, knowing that we have an entirely different life than those who were in the war, this generation of people is just absolutely amazing. And I like all the movers and shakers, and you're one of them. Thanks so much for being here, my friend. Viv, it's always good to run into you mostly, but it's always good to
Every
have
once
you.
in a while.
I know. It's like old home week. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Well, take good care. You guys safe travels, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
It is time for us to take our leave even a minute later. I apologize. We're going to do this. I'm going to take off for the rest of the day, and I will see you up here tomorrow. Paulie Suba doing his thing this afternoon from 2 until 6. Cross the yard, you'll find Dice over at Power 98. You want to get your groove on in the afternoon on your way home. She's the girl to make that happen for you. We are Mornings with Patty. I'm Patty. It's 9 o'clock. 01 KGUM-FM in Dedi Do, Guam. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Dice. Mwah.
Love you guys. Viva Guam.
Military officer, law enforcer, policymaker. Service has been the cornerstone of Congressman James Moylan's life. James Moylan swore to protect America as an officer in the United States Army. As a parole officer, James worked with families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. He was elected to the 35th and 36th Guam legislatures, and now James Moylan represents Guam's needs in our nation's capital as a member of the United States Congress. Congressman Moylan has fought for more than $3 billion for Guam, including almost $1 billion in military construction and roads, and law enforcement and first responder vehicles and equipment. Moylan is also working vigorously on standing up a regional office right here on Guam, a game changer for our 25,000 plus veterans, 40 years and 4 oaths. Dedicated, resilient, trustworthy, and proven. That's James Moylan. Re-elect James Moylan for Congress. Moylan works.
I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
Close your eyes and open your senses. Introducing the all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5. Thoughtfully redesigned with a refined interior, larger 15.6-inch touchscreen display, advanced connectivity, and Mazda's signature driving experience. Enjoy elevated comfort, intuitive technology, and and craftsmanship designed around you. The all-new 2026 Mazda CX-5 Sport is available from $29,995 or just $198 per paycheck. Get pre-approved instantly at triplejguam.com.
Bank Pacific has a $100 gift for all recent high school and college graduates.
Okay, I'll bite. What is it?
Open a checking account with Bank Pacific, show us you just graduated, and bingo! We'll deposit an additional $100 into your account.
What about a Visa debit card?
Yep, Visa debit card, online and mobile banking, remote deposit capture, the works.
What about for existing customers who just graduated?
They get $100 too.
Great, count me in.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots. Conditions apply, member FDIC.
Pat's Tinting and Detailing is bringing the shine this July with their Liberation Detailing Specials, starting at $110. From Jigo to Malesu, we got you covered. Call 647-SLAM or WhatsApp 483-7522. Viva Guam!
Hungry and need gas? Mobile's got you covered. Now through July 31st, Mobile Smiles app members can enjoy a free 6-inch Subway sandwich with every minimum fill-up of $30 gas at any Guam mobile station. Available exclusively on the mobile app. It's an easy summer win. Fuel up, open the app, and enjoy the rewards. Not a member yet? Pick up a Mobile Smiles card at any mobile location and register today. Mobile and Subway, a great deal for the summer. See store for details.
With decades experience in Guam and the region, Take Care members have access to the largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. Membership also includes the high-quality credentialed network of on- and off-island healthcare providers and the one-stop FHB Health Center and urgent care. Ask for Take Care. Call 671-647-3526. Go to takecareagent.com for more information. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Code One Store, your one-stop shop for public safety and everyday gear. Shop trusted brands with tactical pouches, apparel, and footwear. Serving Guam since 1999. Celebrate liberation with our special giveaway happening now. Code One Store. Gear up today.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
Hafaday Guam, over the last 2 years, we have built strong relationships, opened new doors, and created real opportunities for our island. Those partnerships continue to grow stronger, and together, we are making meaningful progress for Guam. Early voting for 2026 primary elections begins July 9th and runs through July 25th at the Westin Resort. Tuesdays through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now is not the time to lose momentum. The foundation has been laid, the relationships have been built, and opportunities before Guam have never been greater. Your vote will help ensure we continue moving forward together. I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Let's keep building a stronger future for Guam. I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by James Moylan for Congress. David L. Camacho, Treasurer.
.1 The Wave is the talk of Guam. Keep the day moving right here on Mornings with Patti.
Stepping in smooth with a shine on me. Go crowd lean when I slide on beat. Little rim skill, that's the vibe I keep. Confidence loud, let it talk, don't speak. Got a baseline walking like it on these streets. One step sitting like a victory sweep. No cap, I'm the spark when the lights are fed. Blow so I'm the spark in the room when the bass go
Boom. Here we go. It is time to get into another part of the program that I forgot that I was doing. So I
That's
apologize
okay.
for saying goodbye.
Hey, we
It was
got
a tearful
friends.
goodbye, guys. We hugged,
I know,
we
I
exchanged pleasantries.
We're
And I'm
still
like, I'm
here.
sorry I'm not going to be here. I'm taking the rest of the day off. And you go, yeah, ethics are here. And everybody got a little nervous that ethics is here.
We got you.
Ethics in the house. Well, good morning to the Guam Election Commission, Guam Ethics Commission. Wrong
okay.
place. Nico Fujikawa is
Good
the
morning.
executive director. Vanessa Camacho is the administrative assistant. And we've got Amari, who is the intern for. Are you here for the summer youth program? Or you? Okay, all right. Are you learning anything? Yeah. Okay. She's scared. Don't just like she's like this was not part of the job.
Yeah,
the microphone.
exactly.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having
So you guys are shopping ethics.
Yep. Yeah.
There's some places that really need a little work, so I'm glad
think
you're all
so.
here. Let's. This is it's all encompassing when you talk about ethics, and it can be very intimidating when you talk about a commission that monitors people's ethics, and that's a judgment call for a lot of people. On the government is very clear, though.
Yeah.
I guess that's because this is a function of transparency and making good decisions and sound decisions based on research and truth and all of that. And so what is it that the Ethics Commission is most, what you deal with most? Is it personal ethics decisions that are being made by elected leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just letting people know that you're here in the event that there are concerns?
Well, I think right now, because we're also the youngest government agency,
Mhm.
Unfortunately. So the actual law that established the Ethics Commission was back in 1996. So this is our 30th anniversary, but we weren't funded until 2021.
Okay.
So now that we're in kind of this evolution phase, this is really our chance to reintroduce ourselves to the community, to the people of Guam, and also to the other government agencies. Because I think you're absolutely right. The need or the call for ethics is so prevalent now in everything that's happening in the political realm, even just throughout the island and also in the U.S. mainland. So this is kind of our reintroduction, where we're letting the people know that there is a commission here to uphold those ethical standards and to hold especially our public officials to the highest standards of transparency, honesty, and integrity.
Yeah. We live in a climate politically in this country where ethics are constantly being challenged, and you're getting a really open view of what that kind of behavior where is so blatantly
right.
wrong that you almost don't need an ethics commission. But we also handicap it because certain people in this current administration are still allowed to break these rules that we find to be part of the alphabet. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And everybody says it, but there's nothing in place to stop it. So we see it all the time in our federal structure. On Guam, maybe there's not a whole lot of transparency if it's being hidden, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the fishing expedition is not what's happening here.
Yeah.
But do you feel like because of cases that are happening in the federal government now under this current administration, I'm not trying to get political, but the
No
fact
worries,
is
no
that
worries.
is
I like the
exactly
conversation,
yeah,
yeah.
it's actually happening. And so do you think that it cuts you off at the knees if your work is not being respected, nor are you able to carry it out because there are so many roadblocks?
I think what we're dealing with now, and we've actually had a lot of proponents in the community. We just got a law passed back in April, and what that does is it allows any type of ethical violation here on Guam, the commission, if they find this person guilty, they can administer a fine of up to $5,000 per violation on the individual. So it really comes down to the teeth, right? The enforcement side of it. We see it happening, but what is the process to get these people to be accountable? So what we're doing now is we're trying to make sure that we have the policies in place, and then we can start enacting that type of procedure.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost sort of an adjudication process,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So being a young agency, the credibility has got to be
Earned.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so how do you do that? I mean, you also have a very young crew
Right.
of people that
I think what's happening is the trust index that we're putting out now, that's live now, is kind of that first step towards earning the trust. So the Guam Ethics Commission, in our statute, the currency we operate in is trust. So we have to first measure, how do the people of Guam trust the government institutions, ourselves included, and how do we make honest efforts to enhance that trust? Because we got a lot of work to do, right?
Do you have any cases currently in front of you?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And who are the people that does the adjudication?
So we have our commissioners. Our commissioners is a team of 7. Right now we currently have 5. So we have 2 vacant seats, and they're representatives of different industries in the community. They are approved by the governor and then confirmed by the legislature. So we're trying to, even at the commission level, make sure that there's representation from the different branches of government. We are, I'm not a cabinet member. I'm not appointed by the governor. I answer to the commissioners. They are my board, right? So we are trying to continue to protect kind of the integrity of the institution by making sure that the politics is very limited in, penetrating the agency.
Do you span even the public sector? Is there a vehicle by which companies can be held to certain behaviors?
The private sector?
Yeah.
Well, to the extent of like ethics and procurement, right? So we have different jurisdictions, but yes, if there is a bad actor in a particular agency, we could get in and void the contract, see if there's any ethical violations, and kind of cut that off, and then recommend to the OPA for further action if need be.
Yeah. A lot of what's happening now, there was a recent ethics complaint. I don't know if it went through you, but it did, the ethics complaint went through the legislature.
To the legislature, okay.
Okay, so this is the case of Romeo Carlos, who was up against the senators. The problem there is the ethics commission is going to be enacted or placed into active by the leadership, which is the very party that is going, up for I guess questioning on this. So when the public sees this, you're monitoring yourself basically, and that does put a bad taste in people's mouths. I think you're trying to, by shopping the ethics commission, is raise the perception that what you're doing is on the up and up, despite the fact that it is a government agency currently run by a Democrat governor.
Well, so, I think even with that, there is appetite within the legislature itself to have the Ethics Commission assume additional roles, including jurisdiction over ethics complaints against them. And, because you're absolutely right, I think a lot of them are very self-aware that people know we are basically governing ourselves. And whether or not they're able to call an ethics committee meeting for this person in this term or not, that's really at their call. So, I said, how can we help in this entire process, where even like lobbyists, right now you just go in, you sign up with the secretary of the legislature, and you can be a lobbyist, you can start lobbying. But there's no ethics training, there's no rules of engagement, so it's kind of like the Wild West in there. So how do we, as an independent agency, now insert ourselves, even though we're young, we're trying to get our footing better. I think the previous team spent, the foundational years training everybody, going out and getting all the government officials trained in ethics and the standards of ethics. Now it's our time to actually start putting into action.
That is one of the first steps into being voted into office, as everybody's required to complete ethics training, right?
Correct.
Okay. Are you? How many commissioners? You said you have 7 spots. 5
spots. 5 are.
Who's on the commission?
So we have from different sectors. We have Daphne Leon Guerrero. She's our chairwoman. She's HR, I believe, at AK or Inchcape. We have Meg Tekinko. She's a consultant.
I know her very well.
And then we have Dr. Robert Jack, Island Eye Center. We have Christopher Cruz from Bank of Guam. And then we just recently got Attorney Jen Rapatis.
Okay.
So, we're trying to make sure we have finance, we have HR, we have the business side, business development.
And you have to have a lawyer on your team.
Yeah,
You definitely have to have a lawyer. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, it's really us kind of reinventing ourselves and reintroducing ourselves. But I love research, I love data, and we have to start with the baseline. And if the Ethics Commission is going to show that we're doing a good job, to me, it's not a measure of how many cases we've adjudicated. It's how do we measure the sentiment of the community, people like yourselves, and how well are we doing our job to make you trust agencies, even if we have to go one by one.
That's a tall order, because right now, and in any administration, the government of Guam, or government as a whole, can be a very untrusted entity, and I think the voters express that every 4 years that they say they don't trust the government. Right. It's a tall order to get the trust of everybody. So the goal isn't necessarily to get the trust? I mean, there are some people that are just going to be naysayers no matter what. They're always going to feel like they're not, even in a court of law, they don't feel like they've been fairly treated.
Right.
Starting off right now, is there like a timeline that you feel that, or who's the watchdog? Is it the administration is the watchdog? Is it the people that are watchdogs?
So, it's funny. I just did an interview with Jolene Tovis yesterday from Guam News Network, and she kind of coined the phrase like, this is like the people's audit. I said, absolutely. This is what our trust index will become, right? And our job is not to win the trust of everyone, but to start making a quantifiable way of enhancing, your perception of different agencies, especially the ones that you engage in the most. Is, do you trust the way that they're spending money? Do you trust how open they are, transparent they are in when you're requesting information or, needing documentation or things like that? Those are some stuff that we can go in at a policy level and use this trust index as our baseline of why we need this policy to help, at the end of the day.
And the commissioners are deciding mostly these ethics complaints are not criminal necessarily?
Correct. Anything criminal, we do refer to the Attorney General.
Okay, so that you're not trying to find anybody guilty of something and throw them in jail. You don't have that kind of authority.
Correct.
But you do have fining sort of authority. They have to.
We just recently, yes.
Okay, so you what's the price structure, right?
So,
how do you determine what?
So now we're actually we're going to start the AAA process, right, for those rules and regs. So we open up to the community. We'll have a public hearing on it. But we found a structure out of the Oregon Ethics Commission, and I really was inspired by it because of how objective it was. It's a point system. How many times they violated, how long the duration of that violation was, and you get points added to, right? They call it agitators. And then you have mitigators. Were you very helpful in the investigation? Were you very cooperative? And that brings down your point score. At the end of the day, let's say you get a point score of 15. That makes you liable for 80% of the fine. So the $5,000 is the cap, and then we use the point system to find where they fall in that scale.
And is there? Do you have any authority for whoever the bad actor is in this to have to pay restitution?
Well, absolutely, yeah. In that finding process,
that's the restitution.
Yeah, we even find we give a point value to how much money was the government of Guam,
expended
taken for,
in order.
expended,
Okay, yeah.
And we put that all into the calculation. And again, it's per violation. So that 5,000 limit, let's say they're liable for 3,000 10 times. It's a 30,000 fine on the individual.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Vanessa, what do you do? I had to bring her in here just
absolutely.
because she's been hooked up on this interview.
I'm the administrative assistant.
Okay. So what do you do?
I do a lot of the procurement, scheduling these interviews.
She keeps my life in order. Basically.
She keeps your life in order.
Organizes office.
Yeah.
Make his coffee.
No,
we don't do that.
No, you don't. That's an ethical violation right there.
Exactly.
Well, you guys must be. Yeah, you guys must be having to be. I mean, in a working environment where there are many lines that are crossed, and in a working environment, particularly on Guam. You know your next door neighbor. That's your niece. This is something I went to school with them. Yeah. A lot of these lines become blurred, and that's why they have really good HR departments to make sure that these things are. But in this climate, the familiarity that we have with each other makes it difficult, or just does it make it easier to concentrate on not crossing the line?
I mean, that's a great question. I think one of the things when I first took on the job about a year ago was I said, we'll never get rid of like the pari system, but how do we start getting people to make an honest effort to put the right qualified pari in the right position? So I think understanding that culture is always going to be there, but showing that there is a way to be respectful in our culture by still following an ethics code of law is where we're going to have those crossroads kind of meet. We are a young agency.
Well, you're also young. I mean, everybody that seems like all of you are all reasonably. I'm sorry, Nico. You could be 65 for all I know, but I mean, I'm just saying that it's a young agency run by young people,
right? And
which is DEI. Sorry,
well,
I said it.
And I just I think it really comes down to the mindset, right? So again, the attitude of the commission comes from the leadership. So. The attitude I share with the staff is we have to start getting the people to trust what we're doing. We've had so many years in history of people who took advantage of the system. It's now our job to start making some honest efforts, even if they're small, to start righting those wrongs.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is where we're at. It's a tough job. You know, we do receive complaints and stuff about people we even know, but again, we respect the process and the integrity of it, because at the
That's
end
the
of the
most
day,
important part. You're
yeah.
not going to get anybody slide just because they're your now.
Right.
Okay, I got you.
You go through
Yeah.
the process regardless, because
Right.
every case that we have, I'll have investigators do a review, I do a secondary review, and then we have a legal review for every case. So that way they get an honest shot all the way through.
Well, good luck to you guys. I'm glad, and I hope you're learning and this adventure. Right? Are you going to school currently? Or are you older youth?
No, I'm still going to school.
Okay, what school do you go to?
I go to Tizen.
Okay, and what year are you?
I'm upcoming senior.
Oh, congratulations. Well done. I hope that you learn a lot. It sounds like you're in good company.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in. Thanks for shopping. Well, I'm sure that you, with all the media that you've been around, I heard you with Polly Suba a couple weeks ago, that we're probably going to get to know you guys a lot better. And, and
we'll be
hopefully, credibility is, it takes a long time for some to build up. I'm not saying that this is, but the very nature of your job puts you up already. I mean, so much of it is already laid out for you. It's just, getting to these places where you need to be, and we're here for it. I appreciate you guys coming by.
And I appreciate the hard questions. In fact, we should probably do another interview. We can
Sure.
ask the harder questions. Right?
Well,
Because-
when the harder questions might engage me asking you about the cases, and
Well,
I don't
no,
think
yeah, we can't do
you're
that.
definitely
Yeah.
not going there. But it's But I'm glad that you're open to the conversation, because
Yeah.
it is this that we are living in an environment where it is easy to do so because there are people who are doing it and making it easier to it, and so. Closing your eyes and acting like it didn't happen seems to be the way to go, because it's too intimidating
and I
to
think,
call it.
I think you're right. I think that the cultural side is, bad actors over the years have been able to push and push and push just to see who reacts.
Yeah.
And because we don't react, it gets further.
Right.
So now it's our time to react.
Okay, well, react you will. I'm here for it. Thanks so much
Appreciate
for
it.
coming. It's good
Thanks,
to see you, Nico. Thanks for the hookup, Vanessa. Appreciate it. And have a wonderful senior year at Tizen High School. It is time for us, really, for real, to take our leave. It is 9:25 in the morning. We'll take a break, and you'll do what you do. That's Dice. We'll be right back.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions